I guess Nick Feuntes cares a lot about the facts. He's certain that I basically killed Charlie Kirk. He's saying the infrared community did it. He's saying ACP did it. Steven Crowder said so on Mug Club, but where's the evidence? He didn't provide any. He said they wiped the servers 2 days after the assassination, after we were getting raided, after plenty of violent content depicting the shooting was being shared in the general chat. And I don't mean making fun of it. I just mean describing it, and it's a violent event, and we have a zero tolerance policy. These platforms are pretty strict about that kind of thing. That's why after the Iran-Israel spat, we wipe general all the time whenever there's a violent event that happens. But I'm sure I was responsible for the Iran 10-day war as well. You know, he claims I killed Charlie Kirk, then he says Jackson did it, then he implies there's a conspiracy of Candace, Tucker Carlson, Max Blumenthal, and Russia, that basically Russia is behind this. Why does he not have a similar threshold of entertaining, like, plausible things when it comes to Israel? Like, you look at his tweets, he said that Jackson Hinkle is going to jail. He will not entertain whatsoever the possibility that Israel might be involved in this. How can you say there's not enough evidence, therefore I'm going to dismiss the Israel angle as ridiculous, and then turn around and so, like, recklessly and, like, adamantly with so much certainty be like, Jackson Hinkle did it, and I'm going to publicly claim he's going to jail over it? Could potentially be involvement by Israel. What was the foreign intelligence agency that was involved coordinating with federal law enforcement in the manhunt? And look, there's a reason this kid is running from me. There's a reason he's scared of me, because in a debate, I'd confront him with all of the gaps in his reasoning, and he would look like a sad, pathetic retard attempting to defend himself. Lewis, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, look, I'm going to say this. I'm not a Groyper, but Nick is 100% right, and you are absolutely embarrassing yourself here tonight. Look, I understand why you're doing it. It's very important for you and your compatriots, your ideological counterparts, to shift the blame to Israel and away from the far-left terrorism that radicalized the killer. I get that. But guess what, buddy? It's not going to happen, okay? And the reason why he's bringing up Russia is to highlight the duality of bringing up a non-sequitur foreign state actor that had nothing to do with the case. This is what you're doing with Israel, and it makes you guys look insane.
So hold on. Do I have it correct that to interpret your profound hermeneutics, I don't mean to interrupt, but it sounds like you're saying that the way you're interpreting the profound, sagacious Telegram comments and Twitter posts of Nick Feuntes is that he's basically trying to make the point, not that I killed Charlie Kirk, not that Jackson killed Charlie Kirk, not that the shooter was even remotely possibly in my Discord, not that the ACP was involved, not that Russia was involved, but that it's just as absurd to say that.
No, I'm saying that the idea that Russia killed him is absurd. The idea that the shooter was in your Discord is probably accurate, to be honest. Like, why would you remove your Discord? And maybe not yours, because you probably aren't influential enough to say with certainty that he was there, but for sure he was in similar groups. And look, I'll give you this. Nick may be a pussy, but to call him an Israel shill is just ridiculous.
But Lewis, this is what I don't understand. You just said it's very probably true that he was in my Discord before I reset the general chat channel 2 days after. And because this is what Nick Feuntes is claiming as fact. Because you said you opened this up by saying Nick Feuntes is right about this, and here's why he's right.
He's right that the left is responsible, communist radicals are responsible, and that all lawful action taken by the Trump Department of Justice, by the Trump Department of State, and by the Trump administration officials to send you and everyone who supports your ideology to prison or a black site preferably is something that I would endorse and that I would encourage every other Trump supporter, whether you like Nick or not. And for the record, I disagree with Nick about just about everything with respect to the Jewish people in Israel, but he is right about this. You belong in prison, your compatriots belong in prison, and frankly, if they have to use enhanced interrogation to find out the subversive elements within your movement, I support that as well.
We get it. You want me to be tortured, and you're a really tough guy. But what I want to
ask... I think that we need to secure the United States and reinstitute order, because frankly, your movement is cornered, and its foundation is built upon the idea that we need to disrupt normal American life, that we need to cause chaos.
Buddy, why are you running away? Why are you running away from
I'm not running, I'm talking. Are you listening?
The substance has nothing to do with communist ideology and the left and all this word salad gibber. Louis, the substance
communists
not I
are slippery people. You are a snake. So the idea that you're going to try and weasel out of this is not surprising. But the truth is firm, and the American public know the truth, that communists pose an existential threat to the safety and security of the United States Americans.
For 20 seconds, stop LARPing and answer this simple question. Was the assassin part of my community or in my Discord in particular? Don't generalize about the
That is communism. A question which shall be answered by the relevant
Nick Feuntes
federal
is
authorities.
It as fact. He's not saying we're going to wait for Kash Patel to go, why did you redeem it and delete the Discord? He's stating it as fact. He's saying basically that Jackson and me are guilty 100%. It's a fact. But he's not saying Israel's guilty.
You might not be guilty of pulling the trigger, but you're guilty of being a communist.
You're talking about a civil war. You're not talking about something that's actually going to happen. So quit the LARP.
No, I am talking about all necessary and lawful action taken by the Trump administration to avert a civil war.
Okay, so lawful action is the key. I haven't broken any laws, retard, so nothing's going to happen. So shut the fuck up about it.
Look, I don't know. Were you not in Iraq recently? I mean, frankly, you have all sorts of connections that ought to be investigated.
I killed Charlie Kirk, and I'm in Iraq.
No, I never said you killed him. I said that you are a communist subversive who supports foreign and domestic terrorist organizations, and you need to be removed from polite society and put into a cage where you cannot influence others to commit acts of terrorism. You are essentially a Radio Rwanda propagandist.
Who is a subversive to our American values. Buddy, you sound like a robot. You sound so brainwashed.
Look, I'm sorry that Haz al-Din is not a name that I'm familiar with and don't want in my country. I don't want a neighbor with the last name al-Din. I'm sorry, but frankly, communists belong outside the United States.
We're talking about facts. I don't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. I don't care about
Is it true or is it false that you are the chairperson of the American Communist Party?
You're goddamn fucking right that I am. And nobody gives
a fuck. Is it true or is it false that the American Communist Party supports Hezbollah and various designated foreign terrorist organizations?
We do not do so in any material capacity, Kash Patel. Can you give me the Kash Patel accent?
I did not say material capacity. The fact is that you are engaging in dialogue with known terrorists, with known terrorist organizations. You are going and meeting with them. You are holding rallies for them. You are associated with them. And you deserve to be treated just like they do.
Screaming about how I deserve to go to jail isn't going to put me in jail. So keep crying, keep wishing it's going to happen.
We're just pushing back against your nonsense, trying to distract and say that Israel did this. Look, I get it. You're in a tough position. This is where the inherent contradiction of MAGA communism. No, look, Ani Yehudi, I am a Jew. You are the goy. Kneel before me by Yomer Hashem Moshe.
So you're Jewish.
You're not going to call me a goy, you fat fucking Lebanese.
So wait, you are Jewish. Are you Jewish?
Look, I get it. We'll get you on the halal meal plan while you're in SecCon. But you're not going to talk down to me. You're like a 5'4" fat Turk, okay? So don't talk to me like there's some kind of American. Like you can raise the red, white, and blue and proudly proclaim that MAGA communism is...
You can't control your impulses. In real life, you would shit your pants if you saw me, okay? You don't sound very big to me. You sound like a small little bitch. I overpower and dominate you in every respect, including intellectually. I'm going to unmute you in 20 seconds. I just want to ask a simple question. I don't care about your feelings about communism. I don't care about your Jewish Zionist grievances with Hezbollah or anything, all your other foreign nonsense that you cry about at night. I want to know if Nick Feuntes is correct about the fact that ACP or Infrared or me or Jackson had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's assassin or his killing. It's like a yes or no, and if so, what's the evidence? I'll unmute you. Go ahead.
Yes.
Where's the evidence?
The evidence that you were contributing to the death of Charlie Kirk is very clear.
No. That's a whole lot of nothing, okay? You could say, well, Trump contributed because he abstractly contributed to the overall climate of political enmity and whatever, like concretely in a way that would be legally relevant. Like, does the assassin part of my community? Is he part of my party? Was he in my Discord? Do we have anything to do with him? Is there any connection whatsoever there? Is there any tangible, concrete, not abstract? Don't say, well, because you were promoting the communist ideology and hurting my Zionist feelings by being a Lebanese Shia. And by by the way, I'm in this country, buddy. Oh, you bet I'm in this country, buddy. I was born here. I breathe the air here. It's my country. I'm here. And what is your little bitch boy ass gonna do about it? Nothing. So shut the fuck up and keep crying. But all these things offend you and they hurt your feelings and they make you upset, and I'm completely fine with that. But they don't make me guilty in any legally relevant or real sense. You say, well, Trump is gonna lock you up. Because why? Because of my ideology? If people start getting locked up for their fucking ideology, there will be a civil war. Because I won't be the first. I won't even be the first on the list who gets locked up. If it becomes normalized that people go to jail just for their ideology and nothing else, half the country will be in jail. That's not going to run. So your fantasy is not plausible. So concretely speaking, I'm going to ask you again, what is the evidence for an actual, tangible, concrete connection between me, Jackson, and Charlie Kirk's assassination? A concrete one, not an abstract ideology gibber about the ideology of the left. Directly, concrete evidence. Go ahead.
Haz, respectfully, you are smart enough to understand that in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy of this nature, we are not going to have all of the relevant details.
Okay, so you admit Nick Feuntes is wrong because you came into this space saying that Nick Feuntes is right. That's what you came into the space saying. You said he is right. Nick Feuntes is not waiting for evidence. He claims with 100% absolute certainty that I'm guilty, that Jackson's guilty. He insinuates Russia's guilty. He insinuates Candace and Tucker and Max Blumenthal have something to do with it. And he is saying that he's absolutely certain of this fact. Why? Because he's telling Jackson that he's going to jail because evidence will emerge. He says it will emerge that the killer was in our Discord. He is staking his entire reputation, his entire career, and the entirety of his credibility on this claim. He is saying that with 100% certainty. He's not waiting for evidence. He's not waiting for the smoke to clear. He's not waiting for the event to subside. He says that as a definitive fact. And if you disagree with him, then you are saying he's wrong. If you say that we have to wait for more evidence, then you admit he is fucking wrong, contradicting the opening premise that you came into this Twitter space with. I'll unmute you.
So I am not saying that he is wrong. He is right about this. Thank you for clarifying his position. I'll clarify mine.
Okay.
He is right about this. You are guilty and Jackson are guilty of being our political enemies. And for that...
Nick Feuntes is not claiming that we are merely guilty for being his political enemies. He is claiming we are guilty for either cultivating or ordering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That we are guilty for shaping the killer of Charlie Kirk. You are running away into abstraction to avoid the concrete point of contention at hand, which is not about, well, there's an ideology and a political enemy. By the way, you are a Jew, and you are a cuck running cover for Nick Feuntes, you pathetic cuck. Go ahead, I'll unmute you. The Jewish Nick Feuntes defender. And what in the world is going on even?
I'll put it this way, Haz. When you gain power, God forbid, you will not be granting such mercy and compassion to those of us on the right.
I'm not asking for your mercy and I'm not asking for your compassion. I'm asking you to prove your integrity to the world. I'm asking you to prove whether or not you can be consistent about your consideration of the facts, whether you can prove you care about the truth, whether you can be consistent about what you claim to be to the world. I don't care about mercy and I don't care about compassion. I care about fact and truth. Nick Feuntes said something. He said, Jackson and me are guilty for killing Charlie Kirk. He staked his entire reputation on this with 100% certainty. He said that this is true, right? This is not about compassion. If you want to say that it's a justified tactic to lie about your political opponents, then tell the world you're lying. Why run away and lie? Why run away and hide? If you believe that according to your principles, it is justifiable to lie, then say so. Don't talk about a political war between right and left as if that somehow justifies you from hiding what you are. Because in order for people to make an informed conclusion about which faction they prefer, they need to know what the truth is. If you're lying, then not only are you being dishonest with them, in some sense you're being dishonest with yourself. Because what ultimately compels you to have the principle principles in the position you do? How can you even know it's based in reality if you're willing to lie in the way that you are? So it's very simple. It's truth versus falsehood. And that's it. Go ahead.
Okay, so, sir, if you're going to mute me...
Because I'm asking you to back up your claim that Nick Feuntes is correct. That Jackson
I'm trying to respond respectfully.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the honest answer to what you just said in the last 2 minutes is this. I do not care if a communist thinks I have principles. I am a staunch anti-communist.
Okay, then you need to pretend for 5 seconds that I'm not a communist, but I'm merely a disembodied voice that is Socratically asking you a simple question.
God willing, very soon you will be a voice from inside a jail cell.
Okay. Pretend for 2 seconds I'm not a communist and I'm ChatGPT.
Okay, I'll pretend you're a regular American.
How will you respond to the question of what the truth is? Is Haz, on a factual level, is Haz al-Din and Jackson Hinkle responsible for Charlie's murder in the sense that the assassin was in their Discord, that he's in their party? Like, are these things true? Are these statements that are based in any available evidence? Now, if you want to opt for the answer that it doesn't matter to you either way, please go ahead and admit to the world that you don't care about the facts. You just want to suppress your political enemies. The American people deserve to know if that's your position, that you don't care about facts. You just want your political enemies to be in jail, to be tortured with enhanced interrogation techniques, and so on and so on. Just admit that. You don't have to run around and talk about what are you hyping up yourself or something? You communist traitor to American values. Buddy, who are you convincing here? If you think the facts don't matter and that anyone who disagrees with your opinion deserves to be locked up and tortured, a communist like me won't just be the only person who you think it's deemed justified to suppress. What about your people that are on the right wing? Everything will apply to everyone. You can't have a functioning country if this is how it's going to work. And that's why it's not going to happen. I'm not even going to entertain that, though. I'm asking you whether you care about the facts or not. Go ahead.
So you asked me how I would explain it to someone who's not you. So I would explain it very simply. If I was talking to my neighbor, Bill, and Bill said, what's going on with this, Haz al-Din and Jackson Hinkle, 2 American citizens I'm hearing have been arrested and sent to a black site and are being... I would tell him this. I would explain it to him like this. I would say, look, these 2 individuals...
when the creators of the race realism argument, like Charles Murray and the rest of them, Steven Pinker or whatever, they're like, yeah, and Ashkenazi Jews are like the smartest people ever. And I feel like I'm talking to a living example, like a living proof of the fact this is not the case. You have such a lack of a grasp on the basic chain of reasoning and logic at hand that's in contention. Like this claim that, Jews are the smartest people in the world. Like, I beg to differ. You are a Jew, according to your own admission, and you are a fucking retard. Because I didn't ask you to explain to ChatGPT how you would feel if Jackson Hinkle and Haz were suppressed in a black site. That's arguing from the conclusion in a way. I'm asking you, how would you explain to your neighbor if they asked you, was the assassin in their Discord? Was he in their party? Is there any evidence for that? You don't run to the conclusion, if Haz got ran over by a truck, would I be sad about it? I don't care about your feelings. Okay, look at me, sir. I'm the Jew now. You are the Goyim and I'm the Jew. Because supposedly the Jews are the smartest people and whatever, and the Goyim are cattle, but you are the cattle and I'm the Jew now. Go ahead. I'll unmute you.
So I would answer my neighbor like this. I would say, those are some good questions you raised, and that is why they have been removed pending an answer. They are being investigated, but due to the existential risk that they pose to American citizens, we had to take them off.
Why are you dancing around the simple yes or no? Is there any evidence? Yes or no? Is there any evidence? That's all we want to know.
Yes. So you said yes or no? The answer is yes.
What's the evidence?
What's the evidence?
Yeah.
Okay. The evidence is that the shooter fits the profile of an individual associated with them. And they were active in that.
Thanks for, we'll do it one at a time. That's not true.
So when I talk to a neighbor, he doesn't have this sort of autistic back and forth with me. We have a conversation like normal.
I'm trying to get to the facts at hand. By the way, I already know what the truth is. The truth is you have no evidence. I'm just giving you you the opportunity to present some, if some exists, so that audiences can know whether this evidence exists or not. I've consistently given you the opportunity to provide evidence, and you won't. You say, well, he fits the profile of one of your people. A simple Google search would debunk that. My people are known for being socially conservative, for being quote-unquote transphobic and homophobic. There's not a single person influenced by me who would be considered a follower of mine who would ever deign to engage in an act of violence against someone because they're transphobic. So no, they don't fit my profile. But even if they did, it still would not constitute evidence. Evidence would be, well, the FBI has released proof that they were a member of the party, they were part of this Discord, they were here in the Discord, this is their messages, here's who they were. That would be evidence. You don't have that. So why make the claim like Nick Feuntes did? That's all we want to know. I'll unmute you. We just want to know about the evidence, not your feelings. Go ahead.
So you asked me a question for me to imagine I was speaking to a neighbor.
Yeah.
And then in my answer, you muted me and then went on this sort of like diatribe. And I get that the idea of a neighborly conversation is foreign to you because your neighbors aren't American, and that's an American concept. Mm-hmm. So like you can't do this sort of thing. But the reality is, if I'm talking to my neighbor and he asks me, is there evidence?
I have never seen such a consistent Weasley level of deflection and just dancing around the subject matter. I don't care about how American or un-American you think I am. I don't care about your Jewish Zionist ethnic grievances with Lebanese people because we whooped your ass in 2006. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your disposition toward me personally. None of these things are material to me. All I care about is the meat and potatoes of the question of fact and evidence. So fact and evidence. I'll unmute you. Fact and evidence. Let's hear it.
Fact. You're getting...
Okay. So nothing. Fact and evidence to justify Nick Feuntes' claim that Jackson Hinkle...
You have made statements supporting terrorist organizations. Fact. You have voiced...
Mm-hmm. So things that are irrelevant to the topic at hand. Is that what we're talking about? We're just talking about things that are not at all relevant to the topic at hand. Why are you avoiding the topic at hand? Why are you trying to pivot to something else? Go ahead.
This is a beautiful example of communist justice. They ask you a question, they mute you, and then they lie.
Because you're not answering the question.
Amazing. It's amazing why people don't want to have you in their country. Why they... Look, countries have successfully existed without the...
Lewis, I accept your surrender. And that, my friends, is an example of a total and comprehensive and absolute domination. For anyone who objects to the fact that I had to mute this animal, I asked them a very simple question pertaining to evidence. They talked about foreign terrorist organizations. They talked about profiles. By the way, wrongly. They talked about communist ideology. They talked about their feelings about me being in a black site. At no point did they discuss in any capacity the topic of whether Nick Feuntes was being factually accurate or careful with evidence when he made the accusation and the claim that Tyler Robinson was a member of my community, that he was in my Discord, that he was in my party, and that Jackson Hinkle is going to jail over it. At no point did he address that. Not even once. Will anyone? We'll bring on this person. Go ahead. Is Nick Feuntes correct?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I want to debate you on Nick Feuntes is a pussy plus Israel shill.
Is this Stevenson or is this Super Groyper? Who am I talking to?
This is Super Groyper.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with the pussy part first. Personally, I don't think anyone that was canceled as hard as Feuntes was, that persevered through, federal involvement, debanking, to continue to push his message, going to fringe streaming sites in spite of all that was happening to him, no fly lists. I mean, that level of perseverance, I don't care who you are, has to be respected. That's what it takes in America, is perseverance to overcome things that are bad.
I've heard things that cast into doubt the credibility of Nick Feuntes' claims about the extent of his persecution, besides being deplatformed.
Well, I mean, if it's hearsay, it's hearsay. I can only tell you by what I've seen.
But his credit, I have to entertain the hearsay and wait for more evidence on that, because he's already nuked his credibility when it comes to his handling of the truth.
I 100% disagree with that. In fact, if he's wrong, people probably won't give a shit. I really think so. I think that the optics of the ACP are so bad that it will become nearly impossible for you guys
I think it's an incredibly feminine, estrogenic thing to talk about optics right now, when all I care about
trying to help you. I'm honestly trying to help you.
I don't want your help, boy.
If you want to grow in America, you should not ally yourself with literally the intelligence.
Let's focus on the debate. I don't want your advice. Let's focus.
Okay, let's go to Israel, Shill. Yeah. I mean, the logical example of Charlie Kirk being killed by Israel when he's done more for pro-Israel propaganda than any other American that exists in the past 5 years is completely insane. Constant. Every time he talks about the positivity of Israel and the people.
You're not going to get a dispute from me that Charlie Kirk was a Zionist shill. Can we not waste time on that?
Yes. So the idea that Feuntes is shilling because for once he has an opinion that is very clear and logical that Charlie Kirk was not killed by Israel does not make Feuntes an Israel shill when he just spent the past 10 years speaking out against Israel to the point where he was canceled and thrown out of events.
Are you willing to hear my argument?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, the argument isn't whether or not Charlie Kirk was a shill for Israel. For the overwhelming majority of his career, he was. But there's a fact which Nick Feuntes himself confirmed on Monday's stream that he did, which was independently corroborated by multiple sources, Candace, Max Blumenthal, Tucker, others, and Nick Feuntes. You know, you don't trust those people, but he himself confirmed and corroborated this. There were rifts that were beginning to emerge between Charlie Kirk and his Zionist handlers. There were rifts.
Very familiar, yeah.
Okay, so there were rifts. We agree with that. Among the details...
Allegedly, but probably, yeah, sure.
Well, there was also reports that he was offered $150 million from Israel, and he turned it down. Now, why would he be offered $150 million for Israel? Because despite whatever extent that Charlie Kirk continued to support Israel, it clearly wasn't enough for Netanyahu and Israel itself. It just wasn't enough for them. They didn't consider it a sufficient degree of unconditional, blind support that they needed. It's true, and I saw this myself, that Charlie Kirk was a little bit starting to push back. So when Candace Owens claims that he was or whoever said this was undergoing a spiritual transformation, that's pretty convincing to me, not because I have to trust her word, but just because what we can see that the change in the tune of Charlie Kirk over the months. So the first argument for why it would make sense that Israel could potentially be involved is that they see him going down the path of Tucker and Candace, and he is the head of TPUSA. TPUSA is the national infrastructure of the GOP. It's not just about being an influencer. It's like a fundamental political infrastructure. All the future Republican candidates are being groomed from there. They're going to come from there. I think that in the estimation of the Israeli national security apparatus, they would consider that a threat to their national security. If TPUSA was allowed to go down that path of being led by someone who could potentially become a skeptical or opposed or maybe even just not 100% loyal to Israel, they probably would consider that a national security threat for reasons Nick Feuntes himself, by the way, gave. Nick Feuntes made the argument that according to Israel, it depends on the United States to exist. It could not exist without the United States.
Correct.
Therefore, from the Israeli perspective, losing the support of America would be a crisis of national security. If there's a possibility that TPUSA is going to no longer be loyal to them, that Charlie Kirk will no longer be, let's say he's only 60% loyal instead of 100%. Even that, they would probably consider that a crisis of national security. Because why? Because the TPUSA is fundamental for the GOP. It is a fundamental form of political infrastructure in U.S. politics. That's my argument A. My argument...
Will you let me rebuttal to that argument you just made?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, undisputably, Turning Point USA is huge for the GOP. However, if we're going to rely on sources like fucking Candace Owens for information,
Nick Feuntes, rely on him only.
Well, no, I don't just rely on Nick Feuntes. But my point is that you can't just say Candace Owens.
Nick said
she didn't produce any receipts. Where's the receipts?
But Nick said that his own sources confirmed this fact. That Charlie...
Yes, he turned down the money.
Yeah.
I would imagine Charlie didn't want to be obligated. However, he still pushes pro-Israel policy. The idea that he's just going to turn around and be completely anti-Israel and completely Bibi Netanyahu in the middle of the GOP, the literal Israel cocksucking GOP, is insane.
I witnessed the trajectory of Tucker Carlson. I witnessed the trajectory of Candace Owens. And I was also witnessing the trajectory myself of Charlie Kirk in public, okay? I don't find it that implausible. I don't find the likelihood that that implausible that he could have been going down that path.
Sure, I will say that might be possible, but the idea that Israel would kill him whenever the pros outweigh the cons significantly is crazy. Because the thing is obviously in a heightened time of what the Israelis would call anti-Semitism, the Great Noticing, it's going to throw a lot of heat on them. Basically, everything they do is up for criticism right now, right? Even people that 10 years ago wouldn't criticize the Israelis are now talking about the Israelis. But that is such a hot flashpoint. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's probably something they would regard very seriously if the head of TPUSA, if they thought...
And it's only $150 million, and we're talking about a country like Israel with the economics backed by the USA.
It's not a small. It's not a small sum of money, but in any case...
No, it would double, but come on, man.
Look,
come on. To rule the world, $150 million,
Charlie,
really?
If they suspected that Charlie Kirk might turn on them, I don't think they would allow that to happen. I just think that logically speaking, if I'm putting myself in the perspective of the
Israel's far smarter than that, man. You're not giving them enough credit.
I mean, think about it. If Charlie Kirk turned on them, he's taking TPUSA with him. What do they have then? How are they going to ensure the loyalty of future GOP?
Well, you're giving like a what about? Like, what if Charlie turns into Tucker Carlson level criticism, or even worse, Nick Feuntes level criticism? To me, seeing a guy like Charlie Kirk, who by all accounts very Christian, very structured, very regimented, start spouting off things like fucking Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens is so wild and is way outside the character of who Charlie Kirk was.
Maybe, but I think it is plausible to entertain the possibility that he might end up in a position where he's not 100% unconditional.
But we're not playing by mites, right? Because if we're playing by mites, then then you can equate that to anything.
All I'm doing is establishing that it's not unreasonable to suspect that Israel would have a motive to killing him for that. Not just for that, by the way. I have another argument.
Give me your other argument. Other argument.
So the first one is clear then?
I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Okay. My second argument is that something remarkable is going on, which I also think fully plays into the hands of the interests of Israel. And anyone should be able to agree with this. Let's rewind the clock to before Charlie Kirk's assassination. Remember what the atmosphere was. Bipartisan fury over the Epstein files, increasing MAGA discontent with Trump. Both the right and the left are both seemingly, increasingly at least, united in their skepticism and rejection of the establishment of the regime. Israel, you yourself said this, so I don't have to argue a lot to justify this, is rapidly losing the war of moral support and the ideological war and the information war among all political factions. And this is reality before Charlie Kirk's assassination. So before Kirk's assassination, all of this is very problematic for Israel. So let's say Netanyahu gives Trump a call and he says, I want you to politically crack down on all of these people giving us a hard time in your country, primarily coming from the left, by the way, because they're the organized anti-Zionist force. They're doing boycotts, they're doing the marches and the protests and whatever. And let's say Trump, he needs to put him in jail. I don't think he would have had the popular consensus to do that. I think that he would have gotten a lot of pushback from the MAGA base. I think he would have gotten a lot of pushback from the right. I think it would have been considered in the context of his scandal with the Epstein files. I don't think he would have been empowered to do something like that. But now that Kirk gets assassinated, a popular consensus has been created for cracking down on the left, for cracking down on Hassan Piker, for cracking down on
They probably should do that.
Okay,
yeah, sure.
Before we get into that, a popular consensus has been created for that did not exist before. Now, this is a matter of fact. I'm not here to make a moral argument. I'm not here to say should or could. I'm giving a fact. One of the barriers that gets in the way of being able to crack down on anti-Israel voices and on the left is the Constitution. It's also popular consensus. If through popular consensus, we do what Sam Hyde said should be done, right, is kind of throw away the Constitution. The only way you do that is if you get popular consensus, by the way. So we throw away the Constitution and we start creating a legal precedent for silencing the left. Woohoo, yeah, everyone hates the left. Yeah, the left is terrible. So MAGA agrees, yeah, they killed Charlie Kirk. The left is terrible, whatever. But hold on, you just created a legal precedent outside of our Constitution. Where's the checks and balances? Where's the guarantees? The same thing that gets used against the left, that same precedent then gets used to target all critics of Israel in this country, whether or not you consider them quote unquote part of the left or not. If Israel has a chance to gain something like that, if Mossad thought they could provoke that kind of precedent, that kind of power, I think it's also not implausible to think they would at least entertain that option. And if they're willing to entertain an option like that, they are incredibly amoral, the Mossad is. I mean, they killed a bunch of civilians. They're doing a genocide. All these extremely cynical things they do. It's not beyond their moral calculus to do something like this. Suddenly, there's a way to deal with the anti-Israel problem that's emerging among Gen Z and emerging among all segments of U.S. politics. So
Israel kills their top goy and it helps them pass anti-Semitism laws, is what you're trying to say.
No, not anti-Semitism laws. This is the perfect thing. But laws or legal precedent, quote unquote, against the left. The problem is that the left is the most organized, vocal advocate for Palestinians and against Israel. And anything that can be used against them, all they have to do is just label critics of Israel as part of Antifa and part of the left, and you're a communist and you're a whatever, and that's it. Who's going to resist that? How is that going to be kept in check? If we're already operating outside of the Constitution, there's no longer checks and balances. It's a fucking free-for-all.
But it's been a free-for-all for a long time. It's not like this is like a new thing.
No, it's not a free-for-all yet. They do everything they can, but formally, for the sake of the public, they still have to pretend that everything is legally and constitutionally and judicially above water. But if all of these things can be bypassed, then you're opening a can of worms that's going to be used against everyone. And it's going to be unlimited Zionist control and power in this country.
It already is.
No, it's not.
100% it already is. We fought a war there for 30 years in the Middle East. What do you mean it's not already that?
If it already was, then every critic of Israel right now would be sitting in a jail cell.
Look, let me tell you, man, if they were to pass laws like that, like full-on anti-Semitism laws.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be billed as anti-Semitism laws.
Well, regardless of how they're going to be billed, it's not like the people are just going to roll over. Where's their support line, right? The boomers, they're going to die. How are they going to push that after the boomers are? They're just not going to be able to do that.
There's no force organized enough to resist it. If all of the political,
half the country is anti-Trump.
But precisely this event is meant to address this fact.
That's insane.
If you're talking about the Democrats,
100%. That's crazy.
If you are referring to the Democrats, they don't need the other 50% or whatever it is at this point, the 40% or the 50%. All they need is for the right and MAGA to be unified, which before Kirk's assassination, it was not.
It's not now.
Yes, it is.
Listen, you think that just because Matt Walsh said some kind words to Nick Feuntes that we're all of a sudden on board with Matt Walsh and all those guys and Ben Shapiro?
What I think, which is very clearly going on at the top, what I think is that all of a sudden Ben Shapiro is defending Nick Feuntes. What I think is that Nick Feuntes himself,
they're not hateful enough, is what he said.
Nick Feuntes is aping the very rhetoric and talking points of the Baptists and the Straussian neoconservatives. All of their lingo and jargon, he's aping it. Okay, he's starting to talk about quote unquote third worlders. He's starting to reply saying you're brown. He's starting to use the talking point of the Russia infiltration, the Spencerite nonsense.
Let me ask you a question. So, other than Israel, who is responsible for the most JQing in the country? Other than Israel, who? Fuentes, bro. That's ridiculous.
What do you mean Israel?
Well, Israel's own actions obviously lead to people having the JQ, but the second biggest thing is Fuentes.
First of all, I reject that notion. I think that what precisely propelled Fuentes into stardom was October 7th and the widespread popular discontent with Israel over their conduct in Gaza and the horrific
he positions really well, man. He's a good positioner.
So animosity and anti-Zionist sentiment would have been there regardless. But Fuentes is here directing and controlling that sentiment in a very specific way. And the way he's directing and controlling that sentiment right now is that he is getting behind the regime fully and he is completely denying any possibility.
You think he's completely behind the Trump regime?
I think he is 100% behind.
How so? Because he agrees that it wasn't Israel? He's behind the Trump regime? I just want you
to watch his stream yourself, where he is...
I watch it all the time.
He is applauding the current push to quote-unquote punish the left over Kirk's assassination. And
he wants retribution, obviously.
Okay, so objectively speaking, he's rallying behind the regime.
I think listen, you can pick and choose in politics. You can pick things you're for and pick things you're against. The idea of him rallying behind the Trump regime after he spent running with Ye and the entire election cycle being against fucking Trump and pro-Kamala is crazy, dude.
But what did all of that amount to consequentially in a tangible, material way? I mean, think about it. What did his actions actually lead to?
Here's what I would say. I would say more people are for nationalism now than ever before. That's what I would say. I would say he is the voice of nationalism in America, clearly.
So by nationalism, do you mean empowering Netanyahu with unlimited control over America at the expense of the Constitution? Because that's
you think if that's you don't realize that Feuntes has been talking about anti-Semitism laws and how horrible they are and exactly what you're talking about for the past, I don't know, fucking 6 months.
Maybe he was doing that because he needed to build credibility among skeptics.
So what? Everyone's playing 5D chess. Everyone's a fucking political genius now.
I don't know. The truth is, I don't know with certainty, but what I can tell you is this: I find it
right. We don't know, right? We don't know.
I find it incredibly suspicious that he is not even entertaining the possibility of an Israel angle.
I mean, why do you think I, who have never seen anything to do with the ACP, all of a sudden start seeing stuff with the ACP?
Because Nick Feuntes is targeting attention toward us, very mysterious.
Well, did you guys not also launch an assault talking about how it's the Groypers? Feuntes is running cover for Israel. I mean, like all of your accounts say that.
We didn't blame the Groypers, first of all, for the assassination.
But you're all saying that Feuntes is shilling. Every one of you have done that.
Yes.
So obviously that was coordinated, right?
Because 1 week prior to all of this, Nick Feuntes went on record publicly. Two things. One thing is he made the claim that Haz, which is me, runs cover for the Jews, quote unquote. So he attacked me first, unprovoked. The second thing is that he got all of his top lieutenants and generals in his movement to constantly attack us for 1 week straight, continuously. And we all know
Don't you think politically that we're natural enemies? Don't you think politically the nationalists versus the communists would be natural enemies?
I think that communists and shills for the regime in Israel are enemies. Yes, we are natural enemies. But even if we are... So we can ideologically be enemies. That's fine. But the subject of our politics is ultimately the audience, the neutral viewer, the spectator. I am making a concerted effort to be honest with the neutral viewer, with the spectator. And my goal here is to ask the question: is your movement
I don't
honest?
think so. I don't really agree with
Why
that.
not?
Bro.
Why not? How have I been dishonest? I've consistently tried
I'm not talking about being dishonest. I'm talking about remaining neutral with the average viewer. I've seen a clip of you talking about the left.
I didn't say I'm neutral. I'm saying the average viewer is neutral, and I'm trying to show them who is honest and who is dishonest. That's my goal. That's it.
But don't you think you saying that he's shilling for Israel after he spent the past 10 years is incredibly dishonest of his track record?
I can prove that he's shilling for Israel. I can actually prove this.
What's the proof? You have the money trail? You got receipts? Where is it?
I want you to follow the logic straight, and you tell me.
Go ahead, go. Shoot it. Go ahead.
If there's a gap in my logic.
Go ahead. Shoot your logic, man. Let's hear it.
Nick Feuntes, in his own stream, claims that it is blatantly ridiculous, the notion that Israel is somehow involved in this, right? And he consistently makes the argument that there is simply not enough evidence to support us entertaining that. The first post he made before his stream, by the way, he said there's no connection. There's no connection at all. And he claims there's no evidence at all. Therefore, it shouldn't even be entertained. So this is his reasoning, supposedly, right?
But let me just be clear. You're saying the evidence is Candace Owens' $150 million claim.
I'm not even going to address whether or not he's justified for saying that. I'm just going to see whether he's consistent when it comes to that, when his caring about evidence. More recently, Nick Feuntes claims, as a matter of fact, he says he's 100% certain of this. He claims that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was somehow involved or related to me, Jackson Hinkle, the ACP, and the infrared Discord server. That Tyler Robinson was in our Discord server, and that we are going to jail for this. He claims
I think it's retaliatory, dude. That's what I would say. I would say it's a retaliatory attack. That's what I would say.
Okay, hold on. So, but
I would say whenever you start saying that he's shilling for Israel, it's a retaliatory
attack. Is he being
attack.
consistent when it comes to his supposed consideration of the facts? I'll tell you what I see. You say that you see it as retaliatory. Here's how I see
100%.
it. I see it as someone desperately trying to point fingers in every possible direction, no matter how implausible, no matter how ridiculous it is, to avoid confronting the question of why they are avoiding the elephant in the room, which is that Israel has shady connections
Sure, I would agree that Israel has shady connections, but the idea that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, to me, is preposterous for everything I've already said.
If it's preposterous,
so beneficial to Israel that Charlie Kirk was around.
If based on the available evidence, it's preposterous that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, what does that make the claim that I killed him?
What? I'm not here to argue that with you. I'm here to argue about Fuentes being a pussy and an Israel shill.
Staking his entire...
So what, I have to... He's not staking his entire career. Even if he's wrong, it doesn't matter. Dude, that's crazy. Nobody will care if he's wrong except for you guys. Nobody will give a shit. He has fucking 80,000 viewers. Why would he care?
Last week...
His entire career is based on you? Are you kidding?
Last week, he had nearly 200,000 and...
I know, that's my point, man. Why would he care?
And he is he halved, okay, after Monday's
Well, yeah, it was a traumatic event. That makes sense, but it's still higher than what it was.
Is running with, what, 290,000 real viewers on YouTube concurrently?
Who gives a shit?
Well, I think the facts speak for themselves. I think people are...
But there's no facts here, man. You're not giving me facts. You're giving me your opinion, and I'm giving you my opinion.
The fact of the matter is, you may not think it matters that someone lies and nukes their credibility like this because we are
But it's not a nuke for his credibility. He's been right about so many other things. And the idea... Your credibility is being nuked by claiming he's a shill, to be honest with you. That sounds insane.
But who, if not a shill, would publicly claim they're not entertaining Israel's narrative, they're not running cover for Israel, they just don't find enough evidence, and yet be so gung-ho about pointing fingers with zero evidence that Jackson...
So Nick Feuntes is a controlled opposition who's secretly supporting Israel while calling out the Jews for literally every atrocity they've ever committed.
Volumes that he is so adamant about running cover for Israel that he would sooner accuse me, Jackson, Candace Tucker, Max Blumenthal, and Russia of being involved in Kirk's assassination.
Your boy Bear mentioned and said I'm coping so hard. No, it's just reality, man.
But
look,
why?
Fuentes is smart, bro. Listen, I'll tell you why. Yeah. I'll tell you why. Fuentes is smart enough to know how to position himself, and he can see from a logical angle that most people, almost everyone, knows that Charlie Kirk was 100% pro-Israel. Were there some cracks? Did he have disputes with donors? Sure. But the idea that he's going to turn around and pop the JQ and fucking disavow Israel is completely against anything he's ever done.
JFK gonna pop the JQ and totally disavow Israel?
That's what the theory is, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not. The theory was...
That's what you said. You said he's having shakeups with his donors and he's going to switch.
I said JFK.
I'm talking about Charlie Kirk right now.
Well, bro. I'm bringing up JFK.
Why? That's 70 fucking years ago.
I'll tell you why. Because according to Nick Feuntes, correct me if I'm wrong, JFK was killed by the Mossad and by Israel.
Why would he say that and then shill for Israel, bro?
Because I'm trying to explain to you my argument here.
Go ahead, what's your argument, dude?
JFK was not going to suddenly become, fully anti-Zionist and fully repudiate Israel and become a full JQer. The argument goes that JFK simply believed that there was an outsized degree of influence of the Israel lobby and Israel on U.S. politics. And for that reason alone, they killed him. So you don't need to cross the threshold of becoming a Hamas supporter for Israel to consider you a threat. You just have to cross the threshold of not being fully under what they consider a necessary degree of control.
Yeah, I don't think you give any credit to the pros of Charlie Kirk and what he did for Israel. You're just running off the hypothetical that maybe he was shifting.
That he was groomed by Israel. He served Israel. Right. I don't deny that.
Big Israel guy. Number one Israel goy, yeah.
So that's fine. But I named two plausible reasons for why I find, at the very least, Israel to have had a motive for doing this. And I already named those reasons.
But a motive isn't a direct... everyone can have a motive for doing anything. That doesn't necessarily mean they did it.
So now that the motive is... My argument about the motive is clear.
I understand the motive,
a lot of strange circumstantial evidence surrounding Kirk's assassination, which at least justifies asking questions about it. Like, for example, when the federal law enforcement agencies were saying that they were working with foreign intelligence during the manhunt, when federal law enforcement agencies said that they were working with foreign intelligence during the manhunt in the aftermath of Kirk's assassination, what agencies were those?
I have no idea. Why don't you tell me?
How did Israeli news be the first to confirm Charlie Kirk's death?
Because we are run by Israel. What do you mean?
And supposedly, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but I read that there were 12 Israeli-linked cell phones during the assassination at the in the crowd.
Allegedly, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was the thing with the plane debunked and the owner of the private jet or whatever.
Yeah.
That was debunked?
I believe believe so. I believe they served like breakfast or something at takeoff, which doesn't make any sense.
Did you see the recent UNS report that there are senior officials, supposedly, I don't know if I would say senior, there's officials in the White House who claim that they believe that Israel had a hand in this and had something to do with it?
The UNS report, you'd have to link me the article, I'd have to read it, man. I'm arguing the idea to me is that it does more harm to kill Charlie Kirk for Israel than it does good. It just does.
I laid out my reasoning.
I understand your reasoning.
The motive side of
I understand your reasoning, but the Trump administration has been pushing these anti-1A laws for the past since they've been in fucking office.
Yes, they have, but those laws have been extremely unpopular. If now they can be justified.
I understand what you're saying. I understand the motive. I 100% understand the motive, man. My point is, Nick Feuntes in no way is a shill for Israel. That's just fucking retarded. He's brought more people to questioning Israel than anyone else that exists on this planet.
If he's not a shill for Israel, why is he sooner willing to point fingers at me, Jackson, Russia, Candace, Max Blumenthal, and Tucker than he is Israel? Hello? Morgan, is that a Groyper? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yep.
Where's my friend? Is he not talking anymore?
I don't know, something must be wrong with his device or something. But go ahead.
The Jews got him. Yeah, I just wanna say, so since you're arguing in what's probable and what benefit who, how would him being a shill for Israel benefit him whatsoever?
Benefit him?
Yeah.
Well, he could be compromised. He
could
either be compromised.
Apart from this one claim.
What do you mean?
What evidence suggests that he's compromised apart from this one claim where he doesn't think Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, it's not just that he doesn't think Israel killed Charlie Kirk. It's that he's willing to sooner point fingers at me, Jackson, and Russia than he is Israel, based on the evidence.
Well, why'd you delete your Discord channel? What was that about?
Okay, so the general chat of my Discord, the infrared Discord, was reset a full 2 days after the assassination. And the reason is because, in addition to the fact that we were getting raided a bunch, because 4chan was already claiming that the shooter was somehow related to us. This was going on for 2 days, by the way. We have a zero tolerance policy on discussing or sharing images and graphic content pertaining to violence and violent events. Now, there's a huge increase of activity. People are sharing the videos, they're sharing the clips, they're sharing embed tweets that have those in them. And it seems that the mods were working overtime, deleting and banning people doing that. It seemed like there needed to be an announcement that you can't talk about or share anything relating to a violent event. We don't want any violent content in our Discord. So this was a full 2 days
after. So you're a political figure and you comment on these kind of stuff all the time. But
on X, which has freedom of speech, on other platforms, but Discord in particular, we don't tolerate community-wide sharing images and videos of things like that. It's not allowed. And we do this to be careful because we did the same with the Iran 10-day war. We do it routinely and regularly to conform with the terms of service. So there's nothing extraordinary about it. By the way, but the only reason you even heard about that is because Nick Feuntes claims that this is evidence of guilt.
Yeah, right? Well, the only reason I heard about a lot of stuff is because of Nick Feuntes, including the $150 million deal. You know,
right.
Like why
isn't it strange that he claims me resetting my general chat is evidence of guilt, but not the very thing that he outlined in his own stream Monday about how Bill Ackman mysteriously put up the bounty for $1 million to turn in the assassin, and that Bill Ackman was the one involved in the disputes, one of the biggest donors involved in the disputes with Charlie Kirk. That's not evidence of guilt, but a full 2 days after, a fringe guy like me resetting his general chat is proof that Tyler Robinson was in my community. Now, I'm fringe compared to Nick Feuntes, at least for your average person, okay? I certainly don't get 100,000 or 200,000 views concurrently on my streams, but you can Google me. You can do a basic Google search. By the way, Nick Feuntes knows who I am, and he knows about my community. He knows, right? The average person doesn't. He's very plugged in, so he knows the truth. You do a Google search of me, what do you see? You see socially conservative, you see transphobic, you see homophobic. There's many people, they even try to call me a fascist or something. Why would anyone, and by the way, Nick Feuntes knows all these things, so he's counting on the ignorance of people like you. When he's trying to point fingers at Jackson and I, he's hoping you don't do your homework. He's hoping you just say, oh, they're just a bunch of communists, they're just a bunch of leftist pieces of shit. He's hoping you don't do the Google search and be like, wait, these people are relatively socially conservative relative to leftists. I mean, they get accused of transphobia.
Okay, wait, can I stop you right there?
Yeah,
man. Honestly, I've analyzed the situation, and I'm a big fan of Nick. I love the guy. And honestly, dude,
But don't you think he's counting on your? Don't you think he's counting on your ignorance when he's trying to point fingers at a guy like me? He's just hoping you're not going to do your due diligence and.
I mean, I don't know who the fuck you are, to be honest, man.
I know. But, that's my point. I know you don't know who I am. You heard about me through Nick Feuntes. As far you think that I must be one of these crazy leftist, liberal, whatever.
No, dude. I think you're one of those Khabib Nurmagomedov motherfuckers. Like one of those.
So why would I want Charlie Kirk? Okay, so why would I want Charlie Kirk dead over transphobia? Doesn't even make sense.
No, you listen. All right, the problem is this is a right versus left issue. You guys are over expanding it to all this geopolitical nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. All right, why the fuck?
I'm not. Would you say I'm the top influencer on the left?
No.
Definitely not. I would even say that to some extent I'm pretty fringe, okay? My community is a little fringe.
Dude, it's because he's compromised. And it's actually
so why is he naming me and why is he naming my community? Why is he naming
No, it's over, man. No, it's over. Hey, I'll stop you right. It's over. Okay. My heart's broken. He's a Jew.
No, I'm asking you. Okay, why do you think he's
naming? No. There's nothing to say anymore, all right? There's nothing to say. Nick Feuntes is a fucking Jew lover, all right? And that's the end of the situation, all right? It makes full sense that Israel killed him, and I agree with you completely.
Let me. I know you're being sarcastic, but
no. I'm not being sarcastic. You think I'm being sarcastic? I'm not being sarcastic.
Well, for anyone else who's interested, let me also include some more facts. All this came after Jackson Hinkle started drawing huge amounts of attention to the Israel angle, and right after Jackson started doing this, Nick Feuntes immediately started saying that we were responsible for the killing. I find that incredibly suspicious.
I find it very plausible, actually. Discord servers are often known for planning assassinations out.
Okay.
And
so you think in our public Discord server we planned an assassination, and in the 2-day window?
Yeah,
But in the 2-day window, there was a bunch of Groypers raiding our Discord for 2 days. Why did they not find evidence
look in Nepal. They did the whole parliamentary procedure on Discord. At this point, Discord's like a political application at this point.
What? Okay, so we're talking about my server. We're not talking about the application in general. We're talking about my server. Okay.
Your server?
My server. Was Tyler Robinson in my server like Nick Feuntes claims?
How many people were in your server?
Maybe, 4,000 or 5,000?
I don't know. It seems pretty plausible to me. At least one of those guys has to be a tranny with a gun. At least one.
So you seriously claim that at least one of them was Tyler Robinson? Is a member of my community and was planning this attack in my server.
It sounds a little more plausible to me than Israel doing it, because
that is the crux of why I'm calling him a shill. Because let's weigh the evidence for both. There's zero evidence. There's nothing that connects me to Charlie Kirk or Tyler Robinson. There's literally nothing. But there is so much that connects Charlie Kirk to Israel, which you know, and there's also a lot that connects him to getting on the bad side of Israel. And Nick Feuntes admitted that. Someone makes you
when Netanyahu
offers you $150 million and a trip to Israel and you reject both, I would say you're getting on his bad side.
Listen, the moment Nick Feuntes calls the Groyper community to arms, we are all going straight to Palestine and arming up and fighting for Israel immediately. Do you understand? That's what you need to understand. Do you understand?
All right. So that's really funny, by the way. I mean,
yeah, what's up?
I kind of get it because like his stream setup is like the Joker, and it's like the whole point is like it's all a joke, and it kind of reminds me. It reminds me of the song by Simple Plan. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. Can you sing that song?
Yeah, hum it. I don't know how it goes.
I'll look it up on YouTube because it sounds like very profound. No, because it's not the emotional anthem of my movement. It's your movement. You should know the song.
You probably have one song memorized, huh? What the anthem of Russia? Which one, huh? You communist? I know what kind of man you are.
Are you a Catholic? Are you Catholic?
Yeah, of course.
No, I mean you kind of hesitated a little. What do you think about Jesus and Catholicism?
Burning in excrement.
What is that?
Burning in excrement.
Oh, that's what you think.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, I guess that's what Nick Feuntes' followers think.
Yeah, we have a new name now. It's called Groyper. Groyper. Move the R. Get rid of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. For a Catholic movement to joke about Jesus in this way kind of seems a little strange to me, but it's okay. I mean, everything's a joke. If everything's a joke, whatever. Just stop trying to get people to take you seriously if it's all a joke to you. Stop pretending like you care about Charlie Kirk and his death and bring on more Groypers. Halo 5, go ahead.
Hey.
Yeah,
I had my mute on.
Okay.
I said Charlie Kirk was a black man.
Okay.
He was assassinated by the white man. What do you say about that, man?
I'm waiting for everyone to get their laughs in before I interrupt. I don't want to interrupt anyone's laughs, so let's give it.
Nobody's laughing, brother.
Let's give it
No, I'm asking you.
Let's give it 12 more seconds.
I'm asking you for real, man. Was the black man killed by the Jew?
Okay, I just want everyone to get their laughs in. I don't want to interrupt it.
Was the black man? I'm asking you a question, motherfucker.
Right. District, go ahead.
All I'm saying is be careful, because guess what? I'm gonna sit up here and act like I'm a Democrat because I got cable, so I got a whole bullet right here in this. I can sue CNN and MSNBC after Jimmy Kimmel. If Jimmy Kimmel was falling, y'all know y'all gonna have to fall like dominoes.
This is GTA radio or something. Go ahead, Logan. Go ahead.
What's up, fellow Michigander? I kind of float around all these kind of circles, leaning with like different people here and there on things. But something I'm curious about, at what point do you think the shilling started? I kind of flip back and forth whether it started because of the Charlie Kirk event.
I think
or does it go back farther?
Probably farther. 100%. I don't think it's just started with this.
Doesn't it seem like his movement is less critical than it is hateful towards it? As if like anti-Semitism is somewhat of like a weapon to be grown in his movement. I kind of worry about that sometimes.
I think that he could have been compromised since Jan 6. It could have been earlier. Who knows? But I think he's compromised for sure.
There's a lot of strange variables with it. But that's all I really had to say.
Okay, for sure.
Love what you do.
Let's keep bringing on more people.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Haz? So, I just want to say a few things about Nick. I think that you are correct. He's been compromised since January 6th, and I just don't know why he hasn't been charged. He's clearly on a megaphone saying, ignore the police, knock down the barricades, we're taking the Capitol. You know, direct calls for violence. He incited violence. And what does he do? Well, 3 of his Groypers take his lead, and they spend in prison. The next day, what does he do? Does he start a GoFundMe? Does he ask for donations for their legal funds? No, he calls them retard and never mentions them again. On top of that, he had another legal problem at the start of this year where a Jewish woman went to his house, a 60-year-old woman, went to ring his doorbell, like, hi. He opens up the door, pepper sprays her in the face and boots her down a flight of stairs, steals her phone and smashes it. Look, if this was an ordinary civilian, he would have been charged for January 6th for inciting, and he would have been charged for that assault. He's still walking through it. And everyone takes his word for it. Well, I've been banned from the Bank of America. I was on a no-fly list. It's like, well, is there any actual proof of that besides?
Yeah, I've heard from credible sources. I've heard enough that makes me skeptical of that whole narrative. I'm just sharing my personal belief on that. You know, I'm told more is going to get released regarding that hasn't been yet. But I am very skeptical of his like persecution narrative. I know he was deplatformed. I mean, I was deplatformed from Twitch, and I was deplatformed from Twitter as well. The only reason I kind of stopped on YouTube after a while because I knew that was coming. So yeah, I'm pretty skeptical of his narrative about the whole in the no-fly list and the debanking stuff. Let's bring in this other Groyper. Go ahead. N.O. Let's go.
Yo, Haz, I think it's pretty pathetic you're bringing a bunch of Groypers up here to talk for Nick. Honestly, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You're talking about the Jews? You worship the Bolsheviks' Jewish cock all the time. So I don't want to fucking hear shit about, oh, Nick is chilling out. He's being smart. You understand that, dumbass? Not just jumping to conclusions. Not being a stupid cuck conspiracy theorist.
He's not jumping to conclusions?
No, there's more proof that it was a fucking commie than fucking being a Groyper. You're the ones calling him a Groyper.
Okay, are you saying he's not jumping to conclusions? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he jump to the conclusion that the shooter was in my Discord, though?
There's some solid proof, man. Let's be
What's
honest.
the proof? I want to hear it.
We've seen the chat logs, and then you wiped the whole Discord.
Where's the chat logs?
I promise you, somebody in here probably has it. Drop it down in the bottom.
Does the FBI have it? Because I haven't heard from Cash Patel
I mean,
yet.
don't worry. You and Jackson.
If you guys have it, then I'm sure the FBI already has it.
Jackson little faggot ass supporting Black Lives Matter are going to be locked up. And trust me, Jackson Dickle, little faggot ass loving Black Lives Matter, he's going to get some black cock in prison.
I think you're a pussy and you're acting like a tough guy.
You're a little 5'3" faggot.
No, you're small. You're small. You're a small boy.
You're a small little cuck.
But you know what? You know what's funny? No, none of you people have ever said this to me in real life. In real, all right. I would say. Do you think Nick Feuntes is your leader? Is that who he is?
He's going to be the president of this country.
Did you say I'm 5'3"?
You're shorter than Destiny, faggot.
Okay, Nick Feuntes is reportedly shorter than both me and Destiny. He's 2 inches shorter.
Dude, Destiny and Nick are probably around the same height. You're shorter.
No, Nick Feuntes actually did a comparison.
Nick
Fuentes did a comparison.
arguing the logs? Or are you gonna argue about your height, faggot? Are you that insecure?
Well, it doesn't sound like you want to argue about anything but calling names and acting like a tough guy.
Dude, look, I'm not gonna debate here for Nick because Nick's gonna wipe the floor with you. Nick's gonna own you.
But Nick is refusing to debate me. Nick will not debate me. Nick isn't debating me.
You and Jackson Hinkle are
based on what? So is your debate that I'm going to jail? Is that your debate that I'm going to jail?
Oh, for a long time, buddy.
Okay, based on what?
Based on the logs. You little communist faggots know nothing just to kill.
What logs? What logs?
You have no God. You have no God.
I'm going to jail for having no God. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and having little furry tranny shooters go shoot at right conservatives.
Okay, and what does that have to do with me?
What does that have to do with you?
Right.
Everything, because you're part of the American communist movement. What do you think?
Okay, was this person part of my party?
I mean, he was in your Discord.
Based on what evidence was he in my Discord?
It was in your Discord. You guys wiped it clean.
Based on what? Hold on.
Drop it down below.
Based on what evidence?
Look at your little call me faggots in my chat, little homos. Get the fuck out of here.
What evidence? Hey, you sound really startled and emotional like a woman right now.
I sound startled? Come on, bro.
Where's the evidence that he was in my Discord? I'll wait. Go ahead.
Below in the chat. Somebody can post.
Go ahead.
Somebody can go.
Little boy. What's the evidence he was in my Discord?
Listen. Anybody in the world could call me a little boy, but you. You're about the size of my cock, faggot.
Okay, look, and this is internet talk. This is keyboard talk on the internet. In real life, no one claims this. Okay, so let's.
Hot.
You don't keep the energy in real life. You're a pussy. You're nothing. You're a bitch.
Be honest. If I was in front of you right now and you said that, you'd be like, "Please, little tall Albanian man, back away."
Hey, listen. If you were in front of me right now, you would be calling Cash Patel, begging him to come and arrest me. Yeah, you would be tagging the FBI just like Nick Feuntes.
Cash Patel would tell your little call me faggot. I see you in Valhalla.
You are a pussy boy on the internet talking tough.
Yeah, sure. Watch my clips, faggot. Yeah. See what I do.
So listen, little boy, listen to me. Where's the evidence he was in my Discord?
Hey, little Bolshevik dick sucker. How you doing, man?
Hey, where's the evidence he was in my Discord?
It's all over the fucking internet, bro. I've seen all the proof. You guys are hiding it. You and Jackson Dick. Oh, wait, it's the Groypers. We gotta hide our movement. You communists are fucked.
Based on what?
Oh, based on the proof. You guys are going to jail a long time.
Is that your debate? Nothing?
Yeah, no, I'm not debating for Nick. Nick's gonna debate you.
So you're just here. You're just here to announce to the world what a pussy you are.
I'm just reminding you.
You're just here to let me know what a pussy you are. I'm bigger than your leader, Nick Feuntes. So why are you even talking about anything?
Yeah, but you're not bigger than me, though.
Okay, so but you're not here to talk for Nick Feuntes, right? But he's your leader. That guy's your leader.
Yeah, I'm gonna let my leader go ahead and communicate for me and destroy your little puny.
But he's not gonna. He's not gonna.
And then you're gonna have to put your shoulder.
Hey, didn't you see my space title? He's a pussy. He's not gonna go after me. He's not gonna come near me. He's not gonna debate me.
How are you gonna call a guy a pussy before that's already communicated with you and argued these facts?
When has he argued with these facts with me? When?
Well, he's debated communism. He's done it on a fucking.
When has he debated me about? When has he debated me about communism? I remember he debated me about Africa, and he lost badly.
Debated about Africa? What?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, bro. What's up with you and Jackson Hinkle loving Africans? Like you guys have like.
All right. So you think Nick? Do you think Nick won that argument? You think Nick won the argument about?
For sure.
Okay. What was his argument and what was mine? Let's hear it.
Your argument was you love black cock, and his argument was like you're a little gay faggot. And that's what the argument
is. This, by the way, Nick Feuntes recently said that he wants to have a high IQ movement. Is this are you a high IQ person? Part of his high IQ movement
is letting Nick talk for his own movement.
Okay. And so that is that's your dad, basically. He's like your leader, right? And you're just a retard follower.
Go ahead. America first, baby.
So why do you let this little boy be your leader?
Little boy? You're saying a little boy who has this big of a movement. He has a bigger movement than you, Haz. Ever since you got banned on Twitch, what have you done? What have you done?
Okay.
You remember there's a point in time.
You measure.
Hold on. Let me finish talking, faggot. Yeah. Remember there was a point in time where the Destinies, the Hassans, they were scared of you. They would fear you in debates. And now what are you? You're a little puny faggot who needs Jackson Hinkle to debate and cause a movement for you.
So the reason you're not a
failure.
The reason you're not a man. The reason you're not the reason you're not a man is because you measure people's. Hey,
your movement sucks. You have tranny little faggot that shoot right.
Why are you getting so emotional? The reason you're not a man is because you measure a person's integrity and character based on how popular they are. If we're going by that metric, there's plenty of people who are more popular than Nick Feuntes, and therefore, according to your logic, better than him.
So did he not just the other day have the most viewers, more than Kai, more than any of
Candace Owens just wiped the floor with his peak. She got 200.
Get the fuck out of here,
yes, she did. Candace got 290,000 concurrent on YouTube.
You're jealous. Nick actually has a movement.
But Candace is bigger. But Candace is bigger.
Nobody cares what a black woman has to say.
According to your logic, being more popular means you're better and have more integrity. I don't judge integrity that way, by the way. I judge integrity based on how consistent someone is between their words and their actions.
You go on Instagram, you really know you don't see Candace.
Okay, you want to know what? Let's say I'm a nobody, right?
Okay.
Why does your leader cry about me and fear me then?
He's communicated with you. Why would be scared of a little 5'3"?
Why he communicated with me by saying how much he likes me and how much he wants me to be his friend. That's not a debate. That's him.
Dude, if somebody's being
that's
nice,
him being my fan and my sycophant. I wanted a debate. He won't debate me.
I mean, you have to put his name in your title to get some, viewership. This is the,
all right. Let's ask.
Let's ask the biggest numbers you've done in years. Be honest. Is this the most money you've made in years?
Not even close. But let's ask a simple.
Ever since you got banned on Twitch when you lost it all,
I only have 600 viewers on Kick right now. I've had much more than this. Okay?
I understand that.
So let's
when Nick goes live on Kick, how many viewers does he usually have?
And yet you're here watching me instead of him.
How many viewers?
You're here in my space instead of watching him.
No. I'm not watching you. I'm not doing anything. I came in his face to understand.
Are you a straight man? This is a straight man. Be like, this guy is so much more popular than you. It's like, what's your point? It doesn't mean anything. Candace is more popular than him. Anyway, let's get to the actual point.
Yeah, run.
Let's get to the point. And nobody's running from the fact that he gets more live viewers than me. No one cares.
Like your old friend. You're drowning.
Okay. Yeah, you're just embarrassing yourself. You're actually a pussy. You're avoiding the topic at hand.
You wouldn't say this to be a person. Homo.
Yes, I would. I'll happily say it to you in person. And by the way, who started talking about who first? Did I start talking about Nick Feuntes first, or has every interaction I've ever had with him, where there's any kind of internet beef between us? Who started
Jackson Snow Bunny Hinkle started?
No, Nick Feuntes. With me, I'm talking about myself. Nick Feuntes. Every single time there's been an encounter between me and Nick Feuntes, he started and mentioned me first, the guy who's irrelevant. So remember this about your leader. I'm on his radar, and he knows who the fuck I am.
Because you had a murderer.
No, that was even before. That was before this retarded claim and accusation. Okay,
and you're gonna get.
You're going to jail. And you know what, buddy? Hold on. What if I don't go to jail? Then what? What are you gonna do?
If you don't go to jail, when I see you knuckle up, little gay boy,
okay.
You're gonna be like, holy shit.
You know what? I'm gonna hold you. I'll hold you to that. I live stream all the time. I'll hold you to that.
I do too. When I see you, I'll see you.
Okay.
You're gonna see whatever Ahojo's communist movement really was about. Those Albanian men hit harder than anybody.
And you're not even white. You're a cuckold. You're not even white according to these people.
Really?
You fucking cuck.
So let me ask you a question.
No, we are white, sir. We are white. Sir, we Albanians are white. Sir, we are white Albanian. No, sir, we are European. No, sir, we Albanians. We are white Europeans, sir. You're a fucking cuck. You're a fucking cuckold, bitch. Shut the fuck up talking to me tough, you little bitch. You're not even a white boy. You're a fucking brown Albanian. Shut the fuck up, you cuck. You literally follow a guy who thinks you're fucking subhuman, you little bitch. Why the fuck would you talk tough to me when you are a fucking broken cuck on your fucking knees?
It won't change the fact
for a fucking movement that considers you subhuman, you little bitch.
You and Jackson Hinkle.
Why the fuck are you talking shit bullshit. Jackson is a million times more white than you ever will be. And you are, according to the logic of your own fucking movement, Jackson is your master. He's your master according to your own movement.
His master. George Floyd's his master.
No, he's your master. You are the Albanian who's brown according to your own movement's logic.
You're a fake Muslim. Muhammad would behead you. And
if I was a real Muslim, you're a real Muslim? Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm a Catholic.
Okay.
Baby.
Are you going to talk shit about your Albanian Muslims like Fuentes does? Do you have the balls to do that?
Probably.
Do you have the balls to talk about...
They're all confused. I think they're confused. I think they need to find
but
Christ.
You don't have the balls. Because you're, hey, pussy boy. The reason you don't have the balls to talk about Islam like your leader does.
You're a fucking traitor.
Hey, bitch boy, shut your mouth. You don't have the balls to talk about your Albanian Muslims the way that Fuentes talks about Islam.
You watch Jackson while he gets fucked by black men? Black lives matter.
This is a strange fantasy that we can only interpret as projection from a movement that is clearly and documented to be pedophilic for young boys.
Oh, pedophilic?
Yes.
Really? Dude.
Cat boy movement. Where's your cat ears? Where's your cat ears, bitch boy? Where's your cat ears, bitch boy?
Hey,
shut your fucking mouth talking to me. You talk about Islam like Nick Fuentes does, and then we can talk about who's tough. You're a pussy. You'll never do it.
What do you want to know about Islam?
Insult Islam like Nick Fuentes does, so all your fellow Albanian Muslims can see that.
We can talk about it all day.
You won't do it. You won't do it.
Go ahead, ask
you
me.
won't do
ask
it.
me the question. I'll go away.
You won't do it. You'll mock and insult. Go ahead and do it. Do it.
Ask me.
I don't have a question for you, retard. Why would I have a question for you?
You're a fake Muslim. You're a fake Muslim. You know
why would that even? What do you mean a fake Muslim? What does that even mean? A fake Muslim? Real Muslims. What Nick Fuentes says about real Muslims?
You're a fucking kuffar. You're not an extremist. You're not like Abu Isa. You're not a real one. If you're a Muslim, right? You turned your DNA on your Muslim family to be a little commie faggot, to worship a Jewish god, the Bolsheviks. You know what you want?
Hold on. Did you just say a Jewish god? Is that what you just said? Did you just say a Jewish god?
Oh, you don't allow Sharia.
Did you just say a Jewish god?
Yeah, the Bolsheviks. That's what you do.
What was Jesus?
Jesus. It doesn't matter what Jesus was.
Okay, it doesn't matter what Jesus was. By the way, this is the epitome of high IQ. This is the high IQ anti-Semitism Nick was talking about. By the way, not once have I mentioned Latino Zoomer this entire stream. The Groyper general who just got 5 years in prison for planning to shoot up a TPUSA convention with Charlie Kirk. All right, Warren, you go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna come at this like the civil way. I'm gonna come at it like the civil way, and I'm gonna see how you take it. I'm 60 years old. I think this is pertinent before I start speaking. I've been in. I probably got more Nazi tattoos on my arms than you've probably ever seen. Okay, so let's just let that speak for itself, and I'll shut that part down. Okay, so go a little further. Look, you went into this tirade with this guy and started yelling and blah blah blah. You're wasting valuable, precious time if you're real, Haz. Okay, I want you to be real. I really do.
Okay,
but the thing is,
to be fair, I think I wasted about approximately 15 or 10 minutes.
That's good of you. Hey, man, you know what? It takes a stand-up freaking dude to admit that. Yeah, that's a good point. That's
okay.
One made. You got a home run. So
anyway, go ahead, Buzz. This guy's just shitting in his toilet. Great, Groyper. He's just shitting. Okay, is that it? I wonder if it's a soundboard, if he's actually taking a shit. Remarkable. Go ahead.
Hey, Haz.
Yeah, what's up?
I wanted to talk about Nick, because he's live right now, and you want to debate him. You think he's going to come in here or not?
He absolutely won't. I don't think he will.
Well, I'm coming at this as a third party right now. I'm not really with either faction.
Okay.
So Groypers are trying to say that you're Russian intelligence. What would you say to that? How do you prove that you're not Russian linked?
Well, the burden isn't on me to prove anything. If there's someone's making a claim, they have to back it up, or else it's literally nothing. I would say Nick Fuentes should apply the same standard of evidence he uses for the accusation that Israel's involved in Kirk's assassination. Like, what's your evidence? I am ideologically
circumstantial
I'm
evidence.
ideologically, philosophically, consistently a pro-Russian thinker. Before I ever visited Russia in my life, I got banned on Twitch for it. I have a pretty rigorous, comprehensive worldview within which...
He has the same circumstantial evidence as Russia and Israel. They're the same kind of influence in the United States.
Based on what? Based on what? Because Tim Pool supposedly got money or something? What are you even talking about?
Yeah, guys like Tim Pool and Richard Spencer. It's pretty obvious that
Spencer is anti-Russian. He's completely anti-Russian.
Well, yeah, but he had that honeypot wife at the time.
There's just no proof. I mean, I don't know. This whole thing about Russians being like these magical people or something. Russians are normal people. If someone has a wife from Denmark or has a wife from fucking Poland or some shit, like nobody gives a fuck. But as soon as someone is Russian and they breathe air and there's like this crazy paranoia about Russians, interactions between Russians and Americans don't imply.
There's a lot of Russians in Israel. There's like a lot of Russian speakers in Israel. That's why Putin, does the Shabbat thing. So the circumstantial evidence is the same on either one.
So what is the fact that there's Russians in Israel have to do with it? The Charlie Kirk assassination.
Well, they've been known to influence the goings on in America covertly.
Okay, so can you point to me? How does that prove that I killed Charlie Kirk? Can you explain? Because I feel like we're like, what are we talking about here?
Like saying, that would be like saying Charlie Kirk killed himself because he got money from Israel. I'm not saying that you did it. Saying like it's the same level of evidence on either side.
There isn't. Are you fucking kidding? Charlie Kirk was pretty consistently skeptical of the Ukraine war. He wasn't by any means an anti-Russian figure. The Russians that I know, like Professor Dugin, admired Charlie Kirk, and they very much mourn his death and consider it a tremendous loss. I see zero motive for why Russia would have any interest or stake in the killing of Charlie Kirk.
I mean, you stake your claim on Alexander Dugin, but he's like the English-speaking, like the face that they put to the West. All this talk about him being Putin's brain is all.
Okay, well, I'm sure you know more than me, okay, regarding the matter. I'm sure you've been to Russia and you know about how everything is, and I'm sure you're the expert.
All these countries are doing soft power in America.
Okay, can you explain the motive for why Russia would want to kill Charlie Kirk?
I don't think, like, personally that.
What's the motive? What would the motive be?
The motive is the same on either side.
No, right? It's not. It is absolutely not, and I can explain why. And I talked about this extensively. Israel's motive for killing Charlie Kirk would be very simple. A, start a crackdown on the left, which can be used as a precedent to use government powers to suppress the speech of all critics of Israel. That's a very solid motive to me. Get right-wingers to all unite together, including shit-eating retards like the booger-eating, to use Piker's words, little dork, little nerd, Nick Feuntes. Get him to ally with Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, have Ben Shapiro defend Nick Feuntes. All of them come together against the left, quote unquote, and all you have to do is create a precedent of, quote unquote, targeting the left or Antifa or whatever else they say, created a legal precedent for suppressing speech. You can use it against any critic of the system, whether they're on the left or not. You don't think Israel has something to gain from that? They absolutely do. And that's, by the way, that's discounting the angle, which I find very convincing, that Israel was not happy about Charlie Kirk rejecting $150 million and a trip to Israel. So these are two very, very strong motives that I think Israel would have for doing this. And that's why I lean on an extreme suspicion that there's a high probability that Israel was involved in this. I see zero motive for Russia. I can't even think, why would Russia want to kill Charlie Kirk? What do they gain from it?
Just general political destabilization of America. At least
hold on. Do you think Russia has to destabilize America politically? It's not already destabilized. That would mean that Russia was responsible for the riots in LA, for the conflict between Gavin Newsom and the federal government, for the constitutional crisis, the fights going on in the courts over precisely that, for the conflict between the governor of Illinois, the Pritzker, and Trump over the deployment of National Guard troops and other federal forces in Chicago. The instability has been here for a very long time. Russia doesn't need to foment more instability by killing Charlie Kirk. I don't even know how they could possibly get away with that, frankly. Let's appraise there's reports that there were 12 Israeli registered cell phones at this event, okay? I guess those were all birthright tour students. You also have the odd fact that supposedly foreign intelligence was cooperating with federal law enforcement forces and agencies in the manhunt for the killer. Was that the FSB? Was that the SVR? Who was that?
I mean, no, that's like the entire left in the West pretty much just exists as a soft power for foreign countries.
That's absolutely absolutely not true. That is, I can fucking, I am the living proof that's not true. If that was true, I would not have been as marginalized as I was on the left. I would not have been as canceled and attacked and so ferociously opposed as I was, because there was no one who defended out of fairness the facts and the record regarding foreign countries like Russia, like China, like the DPRK than me. And I was crucified for it primarily by leftists. The idea that the left exists for foreign countries, I don't know what foreign countries you're talking about. I think the overwhelming majority of the American left is a front for the interests of the CIA and is a front for the interests of, just like the right, by the way. I'm not saying the right is innocent. I'm saying all the forms of established politics in this country are compromised and serve the interests that are outside of the popular sovereignty of America.
The outside of the popular sovereignty. I see that as these like foreign governments like Iran.
It could be, no, it's not Iran. China. It could be foreign governments like Israel. It could be private interests of financial forces of Wall Street in the city of London. It could be interests from these weird aristocratic dynasties, these vampires that exist in Europe. It could be the interests of multinational, transnational corporations. It could be the interests of America's old wealthy families. It could be the interests of Jewish families like the Rothschilds. By the way, because people think I'm scared to name Jews. I'm not. But none of that has anything to do with the popular sovereignty of the American people, with interests that are related to and pertaining to any kind of politics that derives from Americans wanting a stake in determining their future. Americans who are concerned with the basic bread and butter issues of getting by day to day, ensuring a future for their children, being able to have families. The established politics we have in this country, whether it's the right, including Nick Feuntes, whether it's leftist, overwhelmingly is compromised by forces outside of American popular and national interests.
Well, that's just a thing. Like, you talk about the popular sovereignty and how all the CIA is running the right and the left. The way I see it, like,
it's not just the CIA, by the way. I'm just saying the CIA, their involvement in the creation of the fake left we have is very telling about the fact that it's compromised. I'm not saying it's just the CIA. All we can say that has any binding significance that matters is that these are forces that are outside the popular and national interests of the American people. And that's the only thing that has any practical significance as far as anyone who's trying to create a sovereign form of politics in this country.
The so-called dissident left and the so-called dissident right, they really only exist to bolster the image of these foreign nations, to me at least. They're not
but
really
the foreign nations in question are not Iran, they're not China, they're not Russia, they're not the official foreign adversaries of the United States government. They are more often than not.
Arm.
No, they're not. You don't even know what you're talking about. Russia and China and Iran are too busy with their own problems. And by the way, it's total nonsense because of the simple fact that they have a primarily, if not almost entirely defensive posture. Russia and China and Iran only want to focus on their own internal development and their own regions, at the very least, their own poles. They, from a basic economic perspective, have no interest in coming over to here and meddling in our affairs and our business. It's costly, it's wasteful. I mean, what do they gain from it? The only thing they want is for this regime and its proxies to leave them the fuck alone so they can focus on what they care about, which is internal development.
Yeah, the defense is the soft power, because if you get enough of the population to go against a policy, then the policy won't be
okay, but if the population
pursued.
is getting genuinely convinced by the basic common sense fact that we shouldn't be spending all of the money we have, which we can maybe spend on alleviating homelessness and poverty and other issues we really do have, on arming and financing Ukrainian Nazis to fight a forever war that they're never going to be able to win, by the way, against Russia. Does there need to be a magical Russian psyop to convince people of basic common sense? No, there doesn't.
Well, it doesn't need to be like somebody gets killed and that whole thing pops off.
You know what? I feel like this is a major deflection from the original topic. Why would Russia have a motive for killing Charlie Kirk?
It's just it's the same reason as always, just political destabilization. And
okay, but America is already an extremely destabilized country politically. And even if you're correct, how does this specific type of political destabilization benefit Russia? This specific one.
It gets the ire off of them and onto the people.
What do you mean the ire? The ire has overwhelmingly been on Israel, not Russia. So what are you talking about? You think there's a tremendous ire on Russia is winning in Ukraine. Ukraine, big time. Russia has never had, it's at the peak of its diplomatic relations with the rest of the world outside of the West. It's long turned its back on the West, it seems like. Russia is not in the hot seat. Israel is.
Well, with the pressure on Israel, it's not coming from the administration. The administration had already been, locking up people.
But the pressure on Israel is coming from the entire fucking world, especially with their bombing of Qatar.
Yeah, and on that topic of the Middle East, and my point on the soft power of these separate nations, look at the IRGC and all the, English-facing propaganda that they put out, and yet...
they're English, it's made by boomers, and it's not even effective. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, onto the topic at hand. I mean, this is not a case of whether you're a fan of Fuentes. Who knows how you got down that rabbit hole. But this is a matter of just objective fact. He's running cover for Israel, and the proof is in the pudding. He's claiming that he's not entertaining the Israel angle because there's not a sufficient standard of evidence, and yet he is stating with absolute certainty, as a matter of absolute fact, that Jackson killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, so Jackson in Russia and Haz killed Charlie Kirk based on zero evidence, like literally nothing. Vanguard, go ahead.
What's up, Haz? How you doing?
Good.
So I just wanted to ask you a simple question. So what is the ACP's view on Catholicism and religion in general?
In our party constitution, respect, or at least rejection of offending the traditional religions, main traditional religions, we ban it. So even if someone is an atheist in our party, no one gets to insult Catholicism, no one gets to insult any of the major traditional faiths. So we consider these sacred, and we have many Catholic members of our party, and I think it would not be difficult for me to prove that our party's philosophy, its actions, its deeds are far more in line with Catholic social teaching than the so-called America First movement, which is full of degenerates, which is full of not simply sinful people, right? Because all people are sinful, but these are malign, malicious, you could even say evil people. These are people who thrive off of what? Spreading lies, falsehoods, fantasizing about torture and killing and
dark woke. Fully agree.
Yeah. So we're not an officially Catholic organization, obviously, but we have many Catholic members of our party, and respect for Catholicism, among all other traditional faiths, is institutionalized.
So it reminds me a lot of the Russian Communist Party and how they work with the Russian Orthodox Church. It also reminds me of Vietnam.
Absolutely the same kind of thing we're aiming for. We work with churches.
And actually had Catholics in the Viet Cong. He had actually high-ranking Catholics as generals in the PAVN.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then there's the facts of the communists in Latin America,
like Nicaragua. Yeah,
Nicaragua. Yes, for us, we are not in any way opposed to Catholic believers and Catholic religion. So we believe in an alliance between communists and believers, basically. So it's not quite as extreme as saying that we want to impose a theocracy on America, I guess. But it's the honest. We're being truthful. See, they are not truthful about who they really are. They claim they want to institutionalize Catholicism and they're the most holy, faithful believers and so on, but they don't have belief. They are cynical, nihilists, liars, slanderers. They employ all manner of dirty tactics and tricks, and they don't even take it seriously. So,
now, what would you say? Because I know there's probably going to be a few Groypers that's going to ask this, but what would you say about the Bolshevik persecution of clergy in Russia?
I think it's much more than what the official story tells us. The official story tells us there was simply a persecution because the Bolsheviks were militant atheists who rejected religion. That's not true. The Bolsheviks restored the patriarchy, the original institution of the Russian Orthodox Church, which was abolished by the westernizer Tsar Peter. And there was an effort to preserve the church and so on, so long as it was not a tool for A, foreign interests, and B, for the interests of the landowners and the feudal forces that had been overthrown in the revolution. And there was fierce conflicts within the church about this and so on and so on. Now, despite this fact, among communists and some communist activists, there was a degree of persecution, not in a legal way, according to Soviet laws. This was outside the legality, outside the constitution of the Soviet system. And such things did occur, and they were denounced by Stalin. If you read his work, it's called Dizzy with Success, he denounces how during some of the collective collectivization efforts, there was the removal of church bells. He says, what's the point of removing these church bells? This is not part of what we're trying to do here. This is outside the bounds of what we would consider acceptable. There were absolutely excesses. There were absolutely also infiltrators who were not even original Bolsheviks, but who wormed their way up and climbed their way up to the top during the period of the 20s and the 30s. And there were many things that happened. First, some of these infiltrators, their goal was the overthrow of the Soviet system. Others committed atrocities in an effort to create widespread animosity toward the Soviet state. Such was the case of Yezhov, who was killed in the Great Purges. So I'm not saying the Bolshevik system succeeded in eliminating all bad faith actors from the very beginning. It took a decade or two for that to happen, and it never fully happened, by the way, because then after Stalin's death you had Khrushchev and so on, and Gorbachev ultimately, right? So I'm not claiming
massively interesting.
Sorry?
I said that's massively interesting. Is there like any reading material you could offer on that? Like I said, I'm not a communist, nor am I, a Groyper. I'm kind of, I guess, more of a left nationalist, so I'm kind of on the fence. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. I think the first thing I could recommend is that if you're interested in the revisionist history regarding Stalin and the USSR, I would point in the direction of Timothy Snyder. Sorry, no, not Timothy Snyder. I'm so sorry. Grover Furr. He wrote a book rebuking Timothy Snyder. I could also say that I would encourage you to read the revisionist school of Soviet history, which is more mainstream and academic, actually. It's people like Sheila Fitzpatrick and so on, even in some cases like J.R. Getty, and I would recommend looking into Stephen Kotkin. Now, I don't agree with them ideologically, but they're not as loose with the facts as, Robert Conquest or Richard Pipes or whatever, or like Timothy Snyder and so on, and these other kind of reckless sensationalists. If you just kind of study the facts, because there's so much facts, and I mean, this is what people don't get about communist history. It's like, I can't just go off the bat recommending people like Michael Parenti and apologists and stuff. This was a different world. Just like we had grade school and we had to learn about the basics of American history and stuff. I mean, this was a totally different history and a totally different timeline. And you gotta really study the facts to get a good picture of what the hell was going on, behind the Iron Curtain, behind this red wall. But that's the best I could say. Now, the final person we'll have on is Soldier XD. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to question an earlier statement you made. Well, first of all, I want to lead by saying I'm not from an English-speaking country, so if I say words wrong, that's why. But I just want to question the statement you made. You said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, but you said that Nick Feuntes is uncomfortable with you, Haz, and Jackson Hinkle's quote-unquote comprehensive understanding of the Zionist infrastructure and the American regime. But didn't you say just a couple years ago with Destiny and Nick Feuntes, you said that Jews don't control America? You don't believe that?
Well, most people, when they think of Jews, this is the truth, they think of powerful Jewish billionaires and capitalists. They think of the Zionist lobby. They think of the forces of Zionism within America. They think of the Israel and the Zionist entity. They think of, powerful people in Hollywood and so on and so on. This is what people, when they say Jewish control, are referring to. And those people are absolutely part of the ruling capitalist class, according to me. I have no problem fully and comprehensively and unconditionally rejecting and opposing them, which I do. That's why, for me, to say that there's Jewish control of America is not enough, if that's what you mean by Jewish. There is an entire capitalist class, including Jews, and I am not impressed with simply saying, we want Goyim landlords and Goyim interest bearers and Goyim bankers and Goyim BlackRock. I believe on a systemic and structural level, the current status quo needs to be overturned in a way that applies to all bad faith actors who are trying to exploit the American people.
Well, that's fine, but isn't it a little weird that Nick Feuntes has, he's been pretty steadfast in this belief that Jews are overwhelmingly, overrepresented in certain industries and certain areas of American, society and politics and stuff like that. Like, he's been saying that for a while now.
I agree.
Even before
I do find it very weird.
Even before you were really honing in on that, you were more saying it was the Anglos and stuff. You were talking about the ruling capitalist class.
The reason I find it weird is because look at the consequences of that position. Because his position was not articulate, it wasn't specific enough, let's say, he now is running cover for actual Jewish power, so to speak. The concrete one, which is Zionism, which is Israel, which is the Mossad. Now, he likes to get into the metaphysics of the theology. His is a theological position. It's not a concrete position. His is a quote-unquote spiritual position. It's not a material position. He does not even oppose Jewish capitalists. He doesn't oppose Jewish people in Wall Street and so on, plundering America. He says it's a spiritual battle between Catholic theology and Jewish theology. So that
to be fair, it's a pretty complicated issue. To be fair, I mean, it is. Okay, it's not. It's hard to not be vague
but
about
at this point, we're picking and choosing complexity. When I insist upon the complexity of reality, people say that I'm coping in the midst of something very simple. But I beg to differ. I think my position is very simple. I oppose those who control and own the means of production, which means the means of life, in ways that are used to exploit and enslave the majority of Americans, whether they're Jewish or Gentile. And I'm not afraid to admit that many of them are Jewish. It's a superfluous position to me. I have no
but the idea, but it just seems preposterous to me, the idea that Nick, who's been talking about this for such a long time, and he's been very, I mean, this is what he's known for right now.
No.
He's known for being anti-Israel, being anti...
I know the true origins of Nick Fuentes, sir. The true origins of Nick Fuentes.
Right, so let's get into that then.
It's all you need to look at. It wasn't
Let's
Nick
get into
Fuentes.
that. So why do you think Nick Fuentes is a shill based on...
I can explain this.
Okay.
Nick Fuentes is standing up, quote unquote, to Jewish power or whatever. That is not a consequence of some kind of principled character or some kind of unique insight or original view. All of it came from 4chan. It all came from an anonymous movement on the internet, primarily anonymous internet phenomena of the alt-right, and that's where the JQ actually comes from. It comes from anonymous internet boards, and it comes from overwhelmingly online sentiment. And in terms of who are the main influencers behind that, I mean, these are people, you go back decades, but it was mainly a decentralized grassroots thing. That's the origin of the entire alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
Fuentes, is from a very, very young age, was throwing bones to and gaining an audience by tapping into that, something that already existed before him. So he was not the originator of, JQ-based politics in the USA. He was someone who was riding a wave already in existence.
I'm not claiming that. But way before you, he was very loud. He was very loud about this issue, and you weren't.
He was loud about this issue only to the extent that it was already
a trend.
Wasn't. It was already a trend.
Well, what do you mean? How is he lying about this issue? What do you mean by that?
Because he didn't invent the alt-right. That was already something going on the internet.
I
remember. I'm older than him.
He rebranded the alt-right. He reformed it.
Okay, he gave it one face among many other faces. Richard Spencer was another face. There were many faces, okay? It wasn't just his face. There was Richard Spencer.
Yeah, but we're kind of drifting off the point. I just want to know, why do you think Nick Fuentes is a shill based on...
Because
I mean, when you look at the contrast,
it's very simple. It's very simple. Okay. Because the guy clearly depends upon forces not within his control. He has to grift off of things that already exist. That's established, right? So October 7th, there's widespread animosity against Israel.
I don't think that's established at all. When did we establish that he has to grift off of these things?
Because he would have no career. He would have no career. He would have no career and no existence were it not for the fact that he was being a face and a vehicle for anonymous 4chan users. That's what he was. That already existed. That whole ideology and worldview and whatever, that already existed. He didn't invent it. He wasn't the pioneer. So he has to capture an existing audience and trend and movement that already exists. So my question is, when he captures it, what does he do with it? That's why I call him a shill. What does he do with the audience and the movement that he captures? What does he do with it? After his generational run...
He made it better. Way better. He's way more organized now.
First of all, no, he didn't. Because right before this, he was talking about we're going to go vote for Newsom and a bunch of other nonsense. He never created his own party. He never created his own independent political force. And at this decisive moment, this is where the kicker is. This is the most important thing. The conclusion of his entire generational run, quote unquote, right? Where he's getting all these new viewers, he's getting all these people. What is he directing them towards to do? He's directing them to give their full consensus and support to a completely artificial, completely synthetic, extremely suspect attempt by the regime to crack down on, quote unquote, the left. He's denying the possibility there's any Israel involvement in Kirk's assassination, and he's using everything he gained to fully support a quote-unquote crackdown on the left which even people on the extreme right know will be used against them in the future, if allowed to happen. So this is why he's a shill. Okay, he's an Israel shill because he's not only running cover for Israel, but he is advocating for the objectives of the Mossad in this country, which is the destruction of our constitution so that the Zionist regime can with impunity persecute all dissidents and skeptics of the system and of Israel. That's why he's a shill. You see, nothing I'm saying is petty, and the substance. I'm responding to pettiness sometimes, sure, but in essence, why I'm making this argument is pretty comprehensive. It's pretty impersonal. It's pretty impartial, actually. Nothing is based on pettiness or some kind of personal grievance or something. I'm telling you the truth. He is an incredibly suspect actor, and he is, objectively speaking, a shill for Israel. His excuse for not entertaining the Israel angle doesn't hold to his own standard of evidence that he uses against Jackson and me and Russia. Basically, TLDR, Nick is willing to say Russia did it, but he's not even willing to even entertain the possibility Israel did it. He's willing to say I did it and Jackson did it. He's not even willing to entertain Israel.
I don't know when I was cut off. I can't remember where.
I was just talking about
where did I stop talking?
Yeah, you weren't talking. I just wrapped up why I think he's a shill. I gave 2 reasons.
Okay, I'll just wrap up then. I'll say I don't think he's a shill. What I've seen from him the last 2 years or something, because that's how long I've been following him. I've seen a guy who's just very inquisitive, and I do think it is such a large issue. I think someone like, and I'm just going to say that, I think someone like Ryan Dawson, I think he knows more than Nick Feuntes, something like that. But I think Nick Feuntes I think he's very knowledgeable on this, and I don't think he's covering for anybody. I think, honestly, he has some hot takes, but I don't think this one's a hot take, really. I don't think there's that sufficient of evidence to show that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel, and I do think until more information comes out, I don't think we should jump to conclusions.
But why jump to conclusions that I killed him then? That's the strange thing.
I don't think he genuinely believes that.
Well, he claims that's what he believes.
I think it's a possibility that somebody on your server may have done, because you cleansed the server, didn't you?
Why isn't it a possibility that Israel did it then? Because he says that's even ridiculous. He's not going to even entertain it because it's ridiculous. So why is he entertaining something that is much less probable than Israel doing it based on the weight of evidence?
I don't think it's way less probable that happened, that some leftist tranny or something was in your server.
That's where...
And that's why you cleansed it. I don't think that's less probable.
There's a divergence about our pulse on reality. You think the evidence weighs more in terms of probability that this person was in my Discord server than the assassination being connected to Israel.
But the evidence for
one of these things, there's not only no evidence at all, like there's zero, and that's not true for the Israel angle. There is some circumstantial pointers that suggest it could be possible. There's no such equivalent in the argument that he was in my server. And then second of all, motive, profile don't even add up. My movement is not one of passionate about transgender rights, okay? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, well, I've seen more transgender tankies than I've seen transgender Groypers, but maybe that's just what I've seen. But
first of all, I think
it is way more probable that a guy like...
I would probably disagree with that, but even on the face of it, I'm not just a tanky. I represent something very specific. They call us, quote-unquote, MAGA communists. They call us whatever. We are regarded as mainly socially conservative. That's the perception.
Okay, but you're connected to other tankies who are, they're fine with this transgender stuff or whatever. They think it's horrible how they've been discriminated.
I am not connected with a single tanky who thinks it's okay to kill people for being bigoted towards transgenders.
No, I agree, but there are other people who are very pro-transgender or they think it's horrible how they've been discriminated or something. Who's the guy who got caught with the spanking or something?
Caleb?
What's his name? Yeah.
I don't even think Caleb cares about this, to be honest. I mean, he's got weird private idiosyncrasies. So do Groypers, by the way. That's what I was going to say. But I don't even think he cares. I mean, I don't like him at all, but I'm not a liar. So in any case...
You're friends with him, right?
I wouldn't say I was friends. I would say that me and Jackson consider ourselves political allies of him for maybe a year or two. And then...
you shut him out a couple of times.
Yeah, that's what you do with people that you consider, political allies.
True, but you wouldn't consider Nick a political ally. You would consider a guy who loves transgenders a political ally. And that's kind of the point. There's more overlap between tankies, communist, leftists, and trannies than there are, right-wing capitalists or conservatives or anything like that.
Argument here. I've never had a political ally who thinks it's acceptable to kill people over transgenderism.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But we're talking about what's probable, right? We're talking about what's the probability of this killer being connected to someone in your server, or just being in your server, or Charlie Kirk being killed by Israel. I think the former is way more.
The probability of them being a part of my movement and a supporter of mine is 0. Okay, the probability of
course Israel, you say that.
No, it's 0. It's 0. If, for example,
so how'd you take down the server?
I didn't take down the server. That's the thing. I didn't take it down. General chat was untouched for 2 full days, okay, after the assassination.
Okay.
After 2 days, I keep repeating myself. It's incredible. After 2 days, I reset general chat. I mean, I removed all content from the general chat channel to remove any graphic depictions of the event, any discussions about the event, even if it's shock and horror.
Okay.
Any graphic representations, discussions, or depictions about violence is banned. Doesn't matter what the
violence is. But don't you see that a community like that, who are glorifying that type of stuff? I mean, there's no Groypers openly glorifying this. At least not any big communities where they were spamming. They had to cleanse the server or something. Nothing like this happened with Groypers, and people are blaming the Groypers.
First of all, you're wrong. Second of all, what community was celebrating or glorifying anything? Not mine.
Well, I thought that's what you said. Didn't you say that they were like sending all those graphic videos and stuff for Charlie Kirk?
Embedded tweets of the footage of Kirk getting shot in the neck.
Okay, so are you denying that there are a lot of leftists, but in particular tankies and stuff, really anti-Israel tankies and stuff, who are saying that Charlie Kirk deserved it because he was pro-Israel or whatever?
Possibly, but first of all, it wasn't our community. Second of all, the more important question is, what's the probability someone like Tyler Robinson was part of my community or in my Discord? Well, it's next to 0 compared to the probability that there's Israeli involvement in Kirk's assassination.
Okay, to be fair, I don't know a lot about your community, but what I did know is that there was something about cleansing the server, taking it down, or something like that. Maybe that's wrong, but that's what I heard.
There was a simple reset of the general chat, which is something done regularly, and there's some disgusting fat fuck sitting and snickering and laughing that I'm even talking about this, who made up this lie, okay? Who took an announcement of me saying, all discussion and talk about this event is banned because we follow the TOS, the terms of service, no violent anything. It doesn't mean people are supporting it. Even if you're expressing shock, it doesn't matter. We don't want it to be talked about at all, right? And they said, oh, they're concealing the evidence because Robinson was in the server. And it's like, first of all, how could I conceal evidence from the FBI on anything for Discord? That's nonsense. Second of all, for a full 2 days, general chat was untouched after the
Discord's not too competent. I think you're giving them more credit than they deserve.
Groypers were raiding my server for 2 days, and general chat was untouched. Okay. 2 full days, okay?
Okay, but just saying you couldn't hide anything from Discord. I mean, didn't they falsely report that they didn't have any chat logs, and then a couple days later or something they came out?
Reality to you, okay? The FBI already has the Discord logs and chats. Tyler Robinson. Yes, they do. They already have it. Okay? They have everything.
What do they do now?
4chan, which is the originator of this made-up claim, they said Friday that the FBI any minute now is going to release evidence of the ACP and me and my server. Okay, it's been a week and nothing's happened. So we're still waiting.
Okay. Well, yeah, as I said, I don't think Nick genuinely believes that. I just think it's a reaction.
I'm glad you admit that. If he doesn't believe it and he says he believes it, it means he's a liar. So why is he lying? My interpretation for why he's lying is that he's a shill.
Well, I think I don't agree with that interpretation. I didn't say you can call him a liar. I think it's more so just being hyperbolic or saying something because he thinks the reaction to the Charlie Kirk death is just ridiculous.
Falsely accusing people of killing Charlie Kirk is not hyperbole. It's actually a pretty serious thing to do, which he's going to realize how serious it is. It's not hyperbole.
But I don't think Jackson Hinkle actually believes Nick is gay or something. I don't think he actually believes that. I think he's just saying that to be
that he does. No, he really does. I mean, he actually does.
All right. Okay. I don't know you. I don't know any of you. But,
I can vouch and say he really sincerely does believe that. And
it just seems like a vindictive tirade because I mean, at least on Jackson's behalf, because he's jealous maybe of Nick Fuentes' reach.
Yeah, but all Jackson did to piss off this Fuentes guy is we were in a space and we're talking about Oliver Anthony or something, and someone was like, well, Nick Fuentes, and Jackson's like, well, I don't care what that cat boy thinks or something. And he never talked. Ever since then, Nick has been ankle biting Jackson, not the reverse.
Well, I think
it's Nick Fuentes.
It's been back and forth.
Nick Fuentes. Yeah, but Jackson just did one thing and left it at that. Ever since then, Nick Fuentes has been following us and ankle biting
Jackson
us.
didn't just do one thing. It's constant. They reply to each other all the time. I've seen it long threads.
But let's say after they're back and forth for the first time. Okay, 6 months will pass. Who starts it? Nick Fuentes starts it. 6 months will pass. Nick Fuentes again. There's going to be an interaction.
Well, I don't know the context of that.
We are not the ones who keep up and follow Nick Fuentes. When we launched our party, Nick Fuentes came after us. It's like every time there's a major thing we are involved in, he comes out of the woodwork. Jackson goes to Yemen. Nick Fuentes immediately comes out of the woodwork to talk shit about Jackson. We ignore this guy, and he comes after us consistently. Okay? So this is the record. I mean, maybe Jackson hurt his feelings or something in a Twitter space one time, but after that, Nick Fuentes is a nothing to us, okay? And that's what bothers him. We don't care about this kid, ultimately.
Really?
No, we don't.
I mean, you're on your panel. The title is Nick Fuentes is a pussy, Israel shill.
Yeah, I'm on
He's not even here.
You're right. And why am I doing it? Because he accused me of killing Charlie Kirk. That's pretty fucking crazy, okay? The guy who has 60,000 concurrent live claimed that I killed Charlie Kirk. Yeah, I think that's a pretty serious accusation. And by the way,
but then you can't say that you don't care about him.
We don't fundamentally care about him in terms of.
There's obviously some like gripe between.
Can you listen to reason for 1 second?
I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree.
If Nick Fuentes keeps our name out of his mouth, we don't care about him. He's irrelevant to us. We only ever mention him or talk about him because he's doing that about us. Our strategy and our movement is not founded or predicated upon any special interest or fascination with Nick Fuentes. We think he's a nothing. But because he attacks us, we attack him. That's where it begins and ends. So when I say we don't care about him, it doesn't mean we don't regard him or we're not considerate of the fact that he's our enemy. It's that we do not see him as a serious or important political actor in and of itself.
Right.
I don't think there's much more that can be said about this for tonight. Kirk assassination, it's going to have political consequences, and we're going to be covering it. We're going to be talking about all the people involved, all the bad faith actors, all the shills, all the sellouts. And hey, we're even saying if people are trying to persecute Hassan Piker over this, we're against it because we defend the Constitution. Why? Because we're the ones who put America first, not Nick Fuentes. Putting America first means defending the constitutional liberties we have versus Mossad and Netanyahu. That means Netanyahu doesn't get to override our Constitution. You want to change our Constitution? It has to be done in a way where the American people are in the driver's seat and have control. That's not what's going on right now. He's trying to give all the control to Netanyahu, and they're saying burn the Constitution. So do I have to like Hassan Piker personally? It doesn't matter what you think of him personally. If he is unconstitutionally persecuted for his free speech, there goes our Constitution. You've gained a precedent that can be used against any American, even the non-brown ones, by the way. That is a very, very simple thing. You don't care how much you hate Hassan Piker. I don't care how much you resent him and you are annoyed by him. All that matters is the formality of it, okay? He's formally an American citizen. Formally speaking, we have no constitutional framework in which he can be persecuted without a precedent being set in which Netanyahu can do it to fucking anyone, in which Mossad and Israel can do it to fucking anyone. You want to give AIPAC a dictatorship over this country, then call for Hassan Piker's persecution. And look at this. I put Nick Fuentes in my stream title. Look, this kid spent his whole career ankle biting Charlie Kirk and all these people. Whenever Jackson had more clout than him, he would not shut the fuck up about him, you know? And I have kept to my own so consistently. You gotta ask, why am I now talking about this kid like this? Because, well, hey, he won't fuck off, so we're gonna crush him proverbially. We are going to go on the offensive in the information battle space. What can I say? The kid was asking for it. Nick Fuentes. It's like Stalin. Stalin wanted to keep to his own. He didn't care about Germany, taking Germany or something. He just wanted to focus on Soviet sphere. Hitler crossed the fucking line, and it was the last line Hitler ever crossed, was fucking with Stalin. That's what we're dealing with. Now frogs are on the menu, and gorillas are hungry. This is what it's come to, and it's only gonna increase and get more and more intense. And no, I'm not going to jail. And no, I'm not being deported. It's only gonna get worse and worse and worse. For all those who are so triggered by the truth, by my existence, you know, it's gonna get worse for you, because you will be hearing more of me. And I will grow. I mean, snapping my fingers, I can grow as big as I want to, actually. I'm not even putting in full effort. I mean, I stream 3 times a week. You want me to tap in fully back in the ring? You want to see what it looks like for me to get back into the spotlight? I can do it. No problem. I prefer not to be there, by the way, because I like to write, and I like to read, and I like to think. But I have no issue, frankly, being in the spotlight, frankly. I can do it. No problem. You know, you don't fuck with a Stalin. You know, you should learn from Hitler's mistake. Why fuck with me? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. You're going to jail. No, I'm not. It's just not. I mean, at least not in relation to this. Maybe if they change laws or something, and I have committed no crimes, okay? So everyone who disagrees with us is going to jail. Okay, buddy. You're talking about a civil war at that point. If they just throw away the Constitution and say anyone who's left-leaning or something is going to jail, I mean, fuck. That's not going to just happen without issue, okay? That's a crisis. That's a national crisis. He's defending destroying the First Amendment for Palantir. Of course he is. Of course he is. Everyone can see that. And for us, war is not a matter of emotions. You know, political information war. We're just going to deport you. No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm here to stay. And I'm just going to become more and more relevant. And is that what I need to do, guys? Do I just need to become very relevant? Is that what I need to do? I have no issue with that. I can do that. I'm a person who's hard to ignore. You know, that's the thing. I'm a little bit hard to ignore. Why? Because I just spit facts. Because I wasn't raised by 4chan. 4chan doesn't teach me how to think, okay? I don't have this anonymous audience that controls me. I'm a self-taught thinker, and I know what I'm fucking doing, okay? Anyway, guys, see you next stream.